Hey everyone, I'm Travis Wright, and you're listening to I'm a Fan of, your show for music, comedy, and more. As always, if you are a musician, a comedian, or just someone that does something interesting, please reach out to me on Instagram at I'm a Fan of Pod. You can find me on Facebook at I'm a Fan of, or you can reach out to me through the website at imafanofpod.com. Of course, if you just enjoy the show, please follow me there as well, and like and subscribe to the podcast. Before we get into this episode, again, want to remind you the very first comedy special created by I'm a Fan of, as well as for stand-up comic Lawrence Rosales. It's about to be released into the world. It's going to be January 27th. If you are in the DFW area and you want to come to the release party, we will be having it at TK's Comedy Club in Addison, Texas. It's going to start at 8 p.m. You are more than welcome to come join us, have a few drinks, say hello to me, meet all the comics you can at this thing, and just come have a good time. We're going to watch a trailer, show a couple clips. I think it's going to be a really fun night. Would love to have you there. Moving on, our guest for today, a brand new comic. A guy who I've accidentally kind of known off and on for a long time. He's been mentioned on the show before, and he is also the co-producer of Cowabunga Comedy, which has been putting on comedy shows in the northern part of DFW. Neaz Shahbazi. Neaz. What to say about Neaz? He has teamed up with Vinny Corrales, who's also been on this podcast before, and they host these incredible kind of DIY bar shows. I've had the pleasure of going to a couple. They're very, very good, and it's a crucial step between kind of open mic comedy and open mic comedy and club comedy are a lot of these bar shows. And a lot of times they're very hard to do. They're very hard to make, go extremely well because people are clinking glasses and ordering drinks. But they have seemed to create their own little niche of people who love comedy that aren't coming to these clubs. And I think it's making for some very, very interesting stuff. So in addition to me just thinking he's a great guy, I love his comedy production that he's been putting on. And I love the fact that we're talking to him at the start of his comedy journey. And I've got to see him do several sets. He's right at the beginning. And to me, that is just the most fun when you get to see a comic grow. And we've already had a lot of well-established comics on here. I thought it'd be so much fun to kind of get that perspective of somebody who's just started, who's about a year. I think he's between a year and 2 years in now. I'd have to go back and listen to the interview myself. But anyway, let's stop talking about it. Let's just go ahead and get into it. This is Neaz Shahbazi. Enjoy. The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more. Neaz Shahbazi.
Hi.
What's up, dude?
I'm Neaz. How you guys doing?
Super excited to talk to you about multiple things.
Yeah, dude.
But we were talking off mic about just, I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to say it, but like clubs and the scene and how things work and don't work. And that led you to start talking about what we were going to get into, which was Cowabunga shows.
Cowabunga, baby.
Yeah, but tell me scoot up closer to the mic.
Yeah.
But tell me what you were starting to talk about.
Okay, so my name is Neaz Shahbazi. Check me out on Instagram and check out our shows, Cowabunga. First and foremost, let me get a little comfortable. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh,
do we have the reveal?
Oh, excuse me. All right, sorry. Yeah, I had to do it. It's our merch. It's our Cowabunga merch. We actually got a shirt for you.
Oh, sweet.
You got one of our merch shirts.
I didn't know if y'all were selling them.
We will be.
Or if it was just like the Cool Kids Club.
We will be. Got jokes.
Best show opener.
Dude,
and then, hell yeah.
That's our logo.
That's rad, dude. No, I love the logo. And
that's Vinny Corrales, fellow comic, mentor,
so
dear brother of mine in the comedy scene. And Trix, his wife, makes she does all of our artwork.
Y'all call her Trix?
Trixie, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Dude,
I didn't
Trix,
know she had a nickname.
Therese, she's the best. And then we got into Cowabunga. But what really bothered me to why we started this whole thing is because I was hanging out with a bunch of other comics and we were getting drunk one night and we're at the bar and they were like, "Hey man, you can't put my headshot on your bar show." And I go, "What do you mean?" And then there's a club locally that there was this guy who had his rule was that if they saw your photo and you're on their roster, you can't do bar shows like 25 miles from that place.
Like a radius.
Like a radius issue. And I just went, no, that doesn't make sense to me at all.
I've heard a lot about this. We will keep the club nameless.
It's around. I think it's changing. Because now we have more and more bar shows and independent shows locally. And I'm actually pretty stoked about that. But to be one of the first ones to go, nah, dude.
Well, it's the dumbest thing.
It is.
I mean, I get maybe in like, I don't know. I was about to say I get maybe in like the 90s or something, but no, I don't get it at all. Because to me, it's like I view it almost like sports, like a farm system.
Yeah.
Nobody's not coming to a major league game because you went and played out with your buddies out in a field somewhere.
Exactly.
And it's like it's just going to strengthen the whole thing.
Exactly.
You want them, and moreover, it's like these people that are watching comedy at a bar show, with the exception of yours, most bar shows, the people aren't showing up to see comedy. They show up and there just happens to be comedy, right?
Yeah,
so it's like
I've been a part of those too.
Yeah, so it's like you're not like stealing fans away who were about to go to the Saturday show, but we're like, oh, I can go see them on Thursday instead.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go watch it at a nice club or a bar.
Yeah.
We'll go bar all day, right?
Exactly.
And it's just such an antiquated, like, it definitely, I've never talked to that person, obviously, but it feels like such a fear-based, like, I got to protect my
And I
club.
think that individual, I'm not trying to talk out of school, but it's like, I think that individual is very comfortable now. And he has bigger fish to fry because there's other clubs, like, opening up around his area. And I think it's one of the, and for us, like, the reason why we started Cowabunga, one of the reasons why we do it on off night.
Yeah, it's Wednesdays.
It's
usually,
always
right?
Wednesdays, first and last, or second Wednesday and the last Wednesday of every month. We have Elwood and McKinney, and then we have Fillmore in downtown Plano.
I've been to the Fillmore, but I'm gonna have to check out Elwood. And
Elwood's
McKinney.
fun.
Yeah,
Elwood's fun. Fillmore is our baby, dude.
Well, every time I go to McKinney, it just blows me away how much is popped up.
Oh,
in
yeah.
McKinney. Like, it's just far enough away from Dallas that I never think about it. But when I go, I'm like, oh, that was badass. That was a good night. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some really great stuff out there, and they're developing like crazy out there. So us doing the show.
So that was kind
there,
of the catalyst, huh?
Yeah, it started there, and naively, I like drinking. I like hanging out at bars. That's who I am. If you're gonna come and see me, I'm one of those guys who's like, yeah, hey, let's go grab drinks. Let's hang out. Let's talk some shit. I am that guy, and I like bringing a lot of people together. It's an innate thing that I have. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those things that naively, one of the owners at our first when we first started at McNeil's, and I was just 5 weeks into stand up. I was like, yeah, why not? Why not start a show and figure it out? And
I've noticed because I'm about what are we? About 4 years into this podcast. Yeah. So, I always kind of relate that to like the comics journey. Like I'm not performing, but how much I'm understanding. Yeah. And it's like, I have noticed a lot of new comics about like a year or two in, maybe 3 years in, they start doing their own show. And I think it's a way to like help market themselves also. Like if you're having a hard time getting a lot of stage time and you produce your own show, it's like, great, I could at least get some time here and put on a show and book others.
That's something I didn't know till after the fact.
What do you mean?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that I could just start billing out my own time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't think about that. I was at the bar and I was like, I guess just start my own open mic, right, at this place. And then I talked to a dear friend of ours, TJ Evans, a fellow comic in the
awesome,
scene.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
And then I told him, and I was like, I'm thinking about doing a show. I'm thinking about doing an open mic. And he goes, why don't you do a showcase first? And I went, okay.
He said do a showcase before an open mic.
Yeah, because either one of these positions, either running an open mic or running a production, it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
You know? And naive, like being just an idiot when I was and still am. In the beginning, I was like, I'll get some comics together and let's just try to figure this out. And on the first show, I had like Arun on it. I had a couple open micers that I started with. And then I had like Vinny. And then Vinny's been through everything with me on this. And,
how did y'all get linked up, you and Vinny?
Oh, I will let you know. That hat you're wearing right now.
Oh, Mr. Brave Little Hat. Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
That's
you guys
the
were
show.
at the show together.
Yes.
When we did the Big Thicket recording.
So
for those who don't know, Neaz has now been a part of 2 recordings. This episode, no, Lawrence's special won't be out yet, but it's going to be coming out probably at the end of January, I think is what we're shooting for. But you helped me run cables and set up sound for that. And then for the Big Thicket record, which at this point, up until recording Lawrence now, I'm hoping Lawrence will take over that space. But this has been like a crowning achievement for me. Yeah. It's like, I love it so much. And you were there as well with Josh running cables. By the way, to this day, I'm still so sad because I misspelled Josh's last name.
Oh, Binkley, yeah.
His last name is Binkley, right?
Yeah.
I swear to God,
Binkley.
I triple checked.
Yeah.
And I think it somehow ended up like Blinkley or something.
Yeah.
And I felt so fucking bad.
It's okay.
But he's like the nicest guy.
He's the sweetest.
And
we were doing Thanksgiving with him.
Okay, yeah. And he's not going to make multiple records like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, God damn it.
The way the TV at the time.
Yeah, he was TV Corrales.
He was TV Corrales. My man. I love that guy. TV, I got introduced to him to that show. Actually, at the on the album artwork, it's him and Teresa in the room.
Yeah.
And then we got linked up, and then I would constantly harass him for fucking years at Fillmore or at any other bar because I would see a comic, and I was always a fan of comedy, and I always wanted to be one, and I wanted to do it for like 9 years. And then every single time I would see him, I would harass the shit out of him and being like, comedy.
He must have liked you then because he's not the type of guy who would like. He's nice, he's friendly, but he's definitely one where like if you were on his nerves, he'd just be like, I'm gonna take off. Man.
And then he did do that a lot to me. Now he's a brother in arms, and
that's that.
Okay. Yeah, but we met at your show. And then I would constantly see him around. And then I went to Backdoor for the first time and saw him on a showcase at Backdoor. And then I saw his And Friends.
Yeah.
And that was like August of 2022, I think. And I was dating this girl at the time. And I was like, I'm going to go try to support my buddy, this comic that I knew. And it's kind of a little full circle. I saw that show at Addison Improv, and I think there were like 150 people in that room on a Wednesday.
Wow.
And it was before I got into stand-up. I'm sitting like pretty much stage right, and sitting in a room 150 people, and you're like, oh, I've always wanted to be one. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do 150 people, dude? Like, that feeling was coming over me, and then I saw.
You mean how would you perform?
How would I perform in front of them? Okay. How would I do a set? How do I do 10 minutes? I was watching the clock, and being like, "How the fuck is?"
You might for people who don't know, because I'm one of those people too. What you just said, watching the clock.
I watch the clock.
I love it, and I don't know if comics, that have been doing it a long time, love that we do this, but most clubs, there's a clock to let you know how long you've been on stage, and it's counting down.
It's usually in the back, next to the sound booth.
I was watching that clock when Louis C.K. performed at the Improv.
Yeah.
And I realized he got off stage 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
And like the club was freaking out, like trying to drop checks and stuff. But I don't know. I love watching that. No. I love seeing like how far into this set, like if they're crushing or if they're bombing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh God, they've got 7 minutes left. Holy.
And something we don't like, something I've learned as a stand-up is that sometimes the clock, when people run the light, it starts resetting itself.
Oh, okay.
So that's like another thing that you kind of pay attention to, where it's like the clock ran down and you see all the zeros, and then the sound guy will run another clock to see how much time you ran over.
Oh, I'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah. That way they know just how much shit to talk when you get off stage.
Yeah. So it's like, hey man, you just walked over. Like, I don't know. It's something I pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because as an open micer I got my first comedy check this week, dude.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah,
first? So you're a paid comic?
I'm a paid comic.
Professional.
I'm a fucking comic now. I'm a real one.
People may not know, but Neaz is a baby comic in the
I
world.
am a baby, dude. I'm a 1 year, 4 months.
Yeah. You may be the most inexperienced comic I've had on the show.
I'm a baby, dude.
Yeah. But I'm so excited when I watch you perform, because like I've told, we talked about you with Kevin DeAndo here, and it's like, we've always kind of bounced around each other because of our mutual friend Nathan.
Yeah.
And
Nate Dog.
Yeah, Nathan's great.
Yeah.
And I just had no idea you had a passion for this.
Yeah.
And so I remember seeing a post on Facebook.
Yeah, I remember this.
Of you like, I don't know, what was it, an open mic or something?
No, I just started producing shows.
That's what it was.
I think that was it.
And I was like,
I think it was September 20th.
Yeah, because I remember asking, I was like,
2022.
Are you ready for someone to come watch you? And you were like,
no, thank you. Please do not. Do not come. I don't want you to come. I don't want anyone to be there. I would finagle my brother, my twin brother, Faraz.
Yeah.
And I would finagle some family members. and some friends.
Who was at the first show? Anybody you knew, or was it total like your first time getting up? Did you have anyone?
The first show I did was it was the baby version of Cowabunga.
Wow.
So then I was doing the McNeil shows.
So you started on your own.
100%.
Did that make you feel more comfortable performing that way?
No.
Okay.
It's all a bag of dicks, dude.
Would you have rather done an open mic instead?
I wouldn't have. Because like we've had discussions about like starting our own open mic. Once again, anyone runs an open mic and you're at a club and you're not doing it at a club, it's a thankless job.
No, I mean your first performance.
My performance, because I did 4, maybe 5 open mics before the first show.
Oh, okay. So your first open mic.
Yeah, I did.
Where was that?
That was Comedy Arena, August 8th, 2022. It's something that was a big thing to me. My girlfriend recently just broke up with me. I remember running into Vinny Saturday night before that open mic. I was drunk, and I went up to Vinny and I go, "Hey, Vin, where's an open mic on Monday?" And he goes, "Comedy Arena." And I went, "All right, cool, I'll be there." And he's like, "Okay." And then I woke up Sunday morning petrified.
Oh, because you committed now.
And I was like, "I'm there."
Yeah.
And I've been badgering this guy for years.
Had you worked on any stuff?
Nothing. Yet? I had a couple of stories. I had one bit. I had one story. And I had like a kind of a persona like you would build out.
Yeah.
Just being like, "I'm a bar guy," and then I would do my dad's story. And then that's another thing where it's like you do a story and then you get one joke out of that. And that's it. I have a 45-second joke from that story that I still do in my set now.
Is there open mic always on Mondays still?
Mondays. Always on Mondays.
Comedy
7:30.
Arena is someplace I've just been trying to get out more to.
Yeah.
When I go, I have a good time. And I want to catch, I love going to the open mics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the open mics I've been slacking on are Backdoor, which has always been
always the best.
Always been a great open mic.
Always.
And because
Thursday nights.
Yeah, and Thursdays I usually end up. I noticed I usually end up booking like interviews or something on Thursdays, and so I need to stop doing that. But and then Comedy Arena, I want to get up to that one because I've heard. Who is it? Is Kevin running that now?
Kevin is the host.
Kevin DeAnda.
Kevin DeAnda, my man. The co-producer of Dead Good. Him and Scott Bedgood. Those are dear friends of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they do it down in that lower room, right?
Yeah, in the front room.
Yeah, and
they do improv upstairs when they're teaching classes.
Well, and I've noticed when I see pictures of like, we had a fun open mic or whatever. There's faces I don't recognize.
There's a lot of them.
There's people who aren't coming down to Dallas open mics. And I'm like, who are these people I'm not seeing? I need to come check them out. And that's why I always tell people, it's like, go to open mics. If you love comedy at all, even if you never want to perform.
Yeah.
But it's like invest, it sounds crazy, but invest like 6 months into going to some open mics occasionally, once a month. And you're going to find a handful of people that you see, like yourself progressing. And you'll be like, oh, that person who, annoyed me the first time I saw them, they're really funny now. Yeah. Oh, now I see where they were going with that joke.
Yep.
And it's like, and it just becomes really fun to see that growth, you know. Like I didn't get to see, the most shining example is, I didn't get to see him on an open mic, but I got to see him on smaller shows, was Barbosa, Ralph Barbosa. And it's like seeing some of that material he was working on when he didn't have his fame yet.
Yeah.
And then now seeing it polished going into, real recordings that'll last for decades. Yeah. And it's like, God, that's fucking fun. And if that happens with anyone else here, it's just the same thing,
Yeah.
So I got to get up to that mic.
Yeah, those are really great ones. Obviously, we do DCC.
Yeah, that's always been a great mic.
That's a banger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, I started, and then
how did the first open mic go?
It was okay.
Because you'd built it up in your mind quite a bit at this point.
Yeah.
You said 9 years?
I did 9 years. I wanted to do it for 9 years. I would sit at the bar and pitch bits to drunkers at the bar, and then you would have some fun guy who's like, that's funny, and then we would sit around, smoke cigarettes, and just pitch bits to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, the first one was dope, and then I went and did my set, and I went and sat on the stairs next to Vinny, and he goes, how'd you feel? And I go, I got to come back.
Yeah.
I can't stop doing this. And then that's where it is now, where it's...
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you just go, if it's like anything, it's like if you want to be a rock climber, you want to be a skateboarder, you want to play bass in band, you wanted to be a producer, whatever. The first time you do it, you're like, I could do it again. I could do it better next time.
Right.
And that's the journey.
How like the little ideas you were pitching to drunkards at the bar, how did any of those translate into your performance?
No,
like
not at all.
What would you say was the difference between what you were pitching then versus trying to write your sets now?
No, because like
in terms of clearly what you thought was funny has probably shifted a little.
Yeah, 100. It's that.
How did that shift though? Like, what do you think the difference is?
Because like when you're at a bar and you're already hanging out with somebody who's a little drunk, and they like racist stuff, you know, or they like uncolored commentaries.
They, you know, when they like racist stuff.
Oh. You know, it's just like these are things you would say to somebody and being like, look at this idiot over here, right? And yeah, you could probably do that as crowd work, but as a comic, I don't want to do crowd work. I want to do my act. I want to do what I wrote, and that's why it doesn't translate. You know, and not for me. I don't know for.
But at that time, you were thinking like, "Ooh, this would be comedy.
This would be comedy."
Yeah,
and it's a big difference where you're like, you have to win over strangers. I'm talking to a dude I've known for fucking 3 Saturdays. You know.
Yeah,
and it's a different thing.
It is interesting, right? Because some people who are the funny guy in their group, can just naturally carry those same things that you said wouldn't work onto a stage, and it would work because they're just so charismatic or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like we've all met those people who are just, they're funny anywhere you've ever talked to them, but they're not comics.
They're not comics.
And then some people are the funny person in their group, but they get on stage and they're terrible.
Yeah.
And it's weird. You would think it would just always translate. If you're funny, you're funny.
No.
But
I was the least funniest guy in our group.
Yeah.
My brother's funnier than me. Like to this day.
First of all, I love how much you portray yourself as like living in the shadow of your twin brother.
Oh yeah, no, because it's true.
You're always like, he's more successful.
Yeah,
he's funnier than I am.
He is. I'm not gonna lie. You know,
you can't build your life around this.
No, I will eventually.
Who's older?
My brother, my 92nd. So I have a twin brother. Yeah,
so he's the older brother.
He's the first one. Yeah, no one likes Diet Coke. You know, they always like Coca-Cola. You know.
Oh man. When did you just don't tell the bit because I know you're working on it. But when did you decide you were going to start opening your sets with cancer?
Oh, okay. Well, I did it. Okay.
Listen.
Okay. All right.
I know plenty of comics have already told you this, and I'm not a comic.
No, I will let you.
But what I will say is, it's a terrible choice.
100%.
But I really hope you work it out.
No, I won't. No, you
don't think you will?
I will. I will. I had childhood cancer when I was a kid. I'm in medical journals and all that, whatever.
Yeah, don't tell any of your bit here.
No, I'm not
just
saying that.
I hope you pull it off as an opener.
The thing
someday.
is that in comedy, it's amazing, and like when you're able to do specific rooms and specific shows that are built around a view of comedy. I did Pete Young's Dark Show.
Yeah,
I love Pete Young.
Pete Young, one of my favorites.
Dude, he does a monthly show, DCC. Check him out. He's
show.
Amazing. By far one of my favorite shows I've ever been on.
And I just like Pete too.
I do too.
I feel like Pete hasn't found. I'm sorry, Pete, if I don't mean to air you out or whatever, but I feel like he's just a moment away from figuring out like his cadence or whatever it may be. But his jokes are fucking funny.
Yes,
funny. And what I realized the last time I watched him, I brought my wife with me, and that
was when Birdwell was on, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
was at that show. Yeah,
another funny dude. That was the funniest I've ever seen Birdwell.
Birdwell's funny.
Those jokes were killing me. And I realized, I was like, shit, I don't think I've seen him on a show like this.
Yeah.
But anyway, Pete, it's like I would be watching with my wife, and I'd be laughing, and she's like, what did he say? And I was like, this. And she's like, oh, that's funny. Yeah. Or we'd be in the car, and she'd be like, what was that thing you were talking about with this? And I was like, I'd tell her, and she'd go, oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, Pete is such a fast thinker that translates into a fast talker.
Yeah, well, and he's like super educated.
He's very educated.
Super educated.
So he's already like potentially going over the head of the crowd sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think when he gets, I don't know if it's a nervous thing or if it's just his personality, but I think when he slows it down just a touch, like his shit is funny.
Yeah, he's so funny.
And the way he looks at these premises are very funny. Very funny.
It is.
I like him a lot. Like I feel like I could just read you his jokes and you go, oh, that's great.
Yep.
And I don't know how long he's been doing it though.
So it was a dark show.
Yeah.
And I always
This was the first time you did the cancer thing?
The first time I did the cancer thing. It was the room was built for it.
Yeah.
The show was built for it. Let's do it. Vinny's in the room with me. I do the act. I do my thing. And that kind of energy is something I don't have in my stand-up.
What kind of
where
energy?
it's like boasting, where you're like, oh, by the way, cancer, right? And I was on a high from that show, and I killed so hard. I don't even like saying killing. I did really well. It was probably one of the better performances I had. Then I was like, this is going to translate everywhere. Then we come to Cowabunga, and I do it there, and I'm first up, and I do the act, and it doesn't go right at all, and I am like squirming. I forgot the rest of my set. I'm bombing horribly now. I have to start the show and host, and I'm like, shit, dude, this is gonna suck. And then I went, okay, some things work in some rooms. In our Cowabunga, yeah, you could do whatever you want, but it's especially the Fillmore show or even our Elwood show. It's like, the game has to go on, man. The train has to go. I have to do my actual act. I can't just go willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that seasoned as a comic that I could just go like, why not? Cancer,
man. Just kidding. No, but I liked the going for it.
Oh, I know.
And I appreciate that, like, you were going for it, and it wasn't just the typical dick joke.
No,
you know what I mean. That's usually the
because
shocker.
the angle that I have on it is brutal. But I'm gonna wait till maybe later on until I get more of like a thing on it. I have brought up in my act. I have a couple of things that like I segue into. I throw it out there. And every single time when I bring that word up, they go, oh, and I go, oh, we're listening. All right, cool. We're all here. We're all listening.
Yeah.
And then now when you do something like that, you learn as a comic, you have a couple of saves, you get different wordplay, or you learn all these things. And I've only learned from all these other comics I work with or hang out with or write with that help me out on like, oh, if you think about this, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be using that. Yeah.
What was the cancer that you had?
I had children's leukemia.
How'd you get leukemia?
I think it's genetic.
It's just genetic, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think it was a genetic thing, and it's kind of weird. But it's I don't know.
And your brother didn't get it.
No, my brother had flat feet. Yeah, he has the kind of the same genetics. It's like one chromosome of a difference.
Wow. So how old were you?
I was 5.
5.
Yeah.
Wow. So the not to compare, but I had a massive head injury when I was 6. And so I had we were in a car accident. I had a fractured skull and a brain bleed that they did a craniotomy to repair.
Shit.
Which sounds really wild.
Yeah.
But it's like, as crazy as it sounds, it's like craniotomies, like they happen a lot. And like, it could have been much worse, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's like I have very choppy memories of being 6, but I remember that really well. Do you remember your whole thing at 5? Like, or I'm always curious if people remember it or if they kind of block it out.
No, I mean, I think through like trauma, you've got to like, I don't know. For myself, I like kind of understanding it and going through it. Because like when I went through cancer at like 5, I was a Make-A-Wish kid. They're doing the whole thing.
Wow.
My parents have to go through it. They have to do this whole family has to go through
it. I'm pretty ignorant on this, but like Make-A-Wish
that's a ABC company through Disney.
No, I know what it is, but are they doing that because they think you're not going to make it?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
They're not just going like
it's not just because you have cancer. Yeah. They're thinking the worst.
Yeah, it's not gonna work out.
Hold on. Let me go through it a little bit here. So what was going on with you, first of all, that they thought like, hey,
I had a tumor on my neck that was the size of a golf ball. And actually, you could probably see the scar. I have like a half scar on my neck. I have a port scar as well.
Okay.
And then they were like, you're going to...
So you just started getting a bump. And then
it was a rock. Yeah. And they were like, we're going to have to do a skin graft. We have to get this out of your fucking throat. And then we have to do a skin graft.
So they cut it out? Did you do radiation also?
Yeah, baby. Okay. Yeah, I did it all.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were like, so you're so fatal, we're going to make you a test rat, right? And then do all these tests on me to help the next generation,
Yeah.
And then it's funny to me because like when I was a kid, it's a bone marrow issue. It's in your blood, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would jump off the jungle gym at school and thinking I was like Logan or Weapon X, being like, I'm anti. Like, it's like, dude, you're one bruise away from dying. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I was such an idiot.
Oh my God.
I just didn't, it never phased.
What was the time span of getting diagnosed to make a wish to realizing, I'm not going to die?
Oh, probably 5 years.
5 years. So from
5 or 6 years, 5 to 10.
So was it always just coming back?
I mean, like, there was just, I don't know, man. It's like one of those things that they're like, we're going to just keep trying to kill it.
So you would go have it cut out?
I had it cut out, go through radiation. Radiation took a long time. And no, it wasn't even growing back. It was just like, we don't know how to kill this thing.
Oh, so you just get your labs drawn and they'd say,
And then they were like, we're going to keep on doing spinal taps. We're going to keep doing tests on this. And
wow.
It's cool. That's why I'm a comic now. You know?
Yeah, but still, it's just wild to think that you were on the Make-A-Wish list.
Dude, it's actually...
What was your wish?
I really wanted to meet Michael Jackson when I was a kid. And it's a thing. And then we ended up going, and that's the worst part about it, is that the Make-A-Wish happened is that they sent two strange adults into my childhood bedroom, and they're like, draw your dreams and aspirations with a crayon. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what color Michael Jackson is right now. And then the other one is, I want to go to Universal Studios and Disneyland and Disney World, where it's like, that's on their payroll.
Sure.
It's like...
What were they able to pull off?
All of it.
You met Michael Jackson?
No, I didn't meet Michael Jackson. They were like, well, you can go to Universal. I saw like Guts.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I got to see where they made Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, wow.
They had like a whole resort. You got limos, the whole thing. I got like there's like a photo book at my parents' house. So I'm trying to find it. Mm-hmm. That has all these photos of me going through cancer and stuff.
What's it like in that situation where it's a Make-A-Wish thing? So on one hand, you're having this incredible moment, but it's all subtext of you're going to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? What age were you when that happened?
I was 5 years old, 5 to 6.
No, but when was the Make-A-Wish?
I was
event?
like
5 or 6.
It was in the beginning.
In the beginning. So, like, what are you thinking the whole time you're there?
I didn't even know.
Oh,
they were just like
they keep that.
They
from
did.
you.
I don't know.
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
Don't tell the 5-year-old he might die.
And then the worst part about it, in like middle school, I'd fail tests and stuff, and I just go to my teacher. I was like, I should be dead. What are we doing here? What are these semantics? Who needs math? You know? Yeah. Did you see that asshole kid?
Wow.
We were just like,
so you never knew that you were on death's door when
no,
that was happening?
not. I mean, like after the fact.
Sure.
When they were like parading
like,
me around, being like, he lived.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's brutal. The experience is brutal. I did it at Children's Hospital in Dallas.
That's where I did all my stuff. Yeah.
They're amazing. I did it with Scottish Rite. I went with Kaiser Medical Center. We did all the things. I had to do all the blood tests, do all of it, and then.
So now that you're older, do you get worried you're going to have it come back?
I have no idea. I smoke cigarettes still, so I have no. I don't know.
You don't get tested ever?
I barely get tested.
Okay.
I gotta.
What did they tell you? Did they tell you like, hey,
could you cool it?
No, but did they say like every 5-10 years you need to get this?
Probably. I just don't.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
bro. I've been using the same towel for the past 3 weeks. Yeah, dude. I'm not. I'm a fucking full comic.
Fair enough.
Yeah, dude.
Fair enough.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus, just go get tested.
No, I don't even. I got tested for like things.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you're clear," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Then I guess we're fine.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have any STDs. We're good." That's what I cared about.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm a full comic. I've always been this guy too. That's the worst part.
You have, and I don't claim to like know you really well, but what I have known of you is you've always been the guy who has an idea or something that you're very passionate about.
Oh, 100%.
And it's just like, you're just trying to find the one that's going to really stick,
Yeah.
And, but I've always liked that. I've always liked that every time I talk to you, I could be like, what are you doing currently? And
they're like,
oh,
dude,
I started this
I
thing.
got this other, because I was telling that
because I remember a lot of it was in music.
Oh, yeah. I was always,
Yeah.
because like, at the age of 8, I was so infatuated by music. I still am. I'm a music nut. And then I was talking to 2 other comics of mine. We were at Backdoor last night. We were at Backdoor last night, and we were talking, and they're like, this is what you're doing in comedy is like, it's kind of different. A year and 4 months in, I've worked with like 3 headliners now because I pay attention. I go and hang out. I ask for the guest spots when I can. I try to accomplish my goal in that guest spot to get asked back. Like, it's just the tenacity and I have to be there, you know? But I learned that from music, where it's like, in music, I had to go do sound, or like at anything, right? To go be the audio guy. I always had to be that guy.
Yeah. And
then it was like, then I got into rock climbing, and rock climbing was the same way, where it was like, I wasn't the best rock climber, but there was an event going on. I can make the burgers for people. You know, I just needed to be around those things. I've always needed to be around those things.
It's interesting. Like, I feel like you and I can relate on this from just from what you said. My background was in music, and the bands I was in the past, like, we always had more work ethic than talent.
Yeah.
You know, it's like punk rock music and stuff like that. It's like you always did DIY stuff. You always tried to push something that way. And we had more success than we deserved just from the work ethic.
Yeah.
Had we had more talent, it probably could have gone farther.
It could have translated differently.
And that's one of the things that's hard. It's hard to tell any artist, right? But definitely comics.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to tell someone who feels like they're working hard that, like, hey, it's not hard enough. It's not hard enough.
It's not.
And I'm not saying you're not working hard.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you have to find a way to realize there's another tier that not only should you hit, but, like, you're capable of doing it. I'm not saying you're not trying and you'll never be able to. I'm saying you just got to convince yourself you can pull that off.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, from what I've gathered anyway, it's like a lot of comedy is like these people who couldn't fit in these other things.
Yeah.
Right? And so this might be the first thing they've ever really cared about. They've never had anything to really push this hard. And so it's like they just don't have the tool yet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when I hear you talking like that, that's the way I talk to my wife. It's like, if this person knew that they could do these things, what would they be capable of?
Dude, it would be nuts.
You know, because a lot of these comics, it's like, man, you got more going for you than you realize. You're just so self-loathing. You're not even giving yourself a fighting chance here.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and like, to me, I have like, there's 2 sides to it, where it's like, I am obsessed with stand-up comedy. I'm obsessed with our scene more than anything. Because, like, if I'm not at my restaurant working doubles and working my ass off being the server at a restaurant, I'm thinking about bits between tables, dealing with tables. I'll even test bits out at tables, which is my bosses told me not to.
So here's your food. Yeah. Now listen, I had cancer.
Dude, I've done it, because it's like I have to keep testing. I have to keep doing, you know, I'm obsessed about this thing. Yeah. And then you go, all right, well, if I could keep doing that, and as soon as I'm done there, I don't have a girlfriend, I'm not going to just go hang out at the bar, because I can go hang out at another bar, go hang out with other comics, go hang out at Hyenas, or I go hang out at DCC, or I go hang out at, because I'd rather go hang out with those crews, because there's something offhandly that you just being in the room and being in that presence, you may get a gig. Yeah. You may get another tag that you didn't know about. You may get this amazing story hanging out with other people. You have a conversation with somebody, you go, oh, I forgot about that. I got to write it down. You know, like, and then there's that creativeness where it's like, you have to be there. You have to. Yeah. And this is something that I kind of preach, and that's only because I know it works, because it works for me.
You know, I'm going to find myself talking in a lot of ways that I might regret later.
Okay.
Because I'm basically talking about my perception of comics in this scene. And I could be way off, right? So anybody listening, anybody watching,
no,
like,
because there's
I could be speaking out of school, but this is my perception, right? Like when I talk to like you, Kevin, Scott, people who are new but are doing things and trying very hard, right? There's that that part that I like to try to live in is like that excitement, right? It's new, it's shiny, it's different, it's exciting, right? And I think the worst part of our scene, and before anyone gets upset, let me get through this, okay? But I think what suffocates a lot of our scene is a lot of veteran comics, or comics who are past mid, like I've been doing it more than 5 or 6 years now, but I'm not a professional, or are comics who have had success that are veterans that are still here in the scene. I feel like they've lost that shine. right? And they all have different reasons, and that excitement.
Yeah.
They all have different reasons, and they're probably all justified. But that is part of what makes me question all the time. I'm like, okay, what is our scene missing that maybe we could interject, right? That doesn't allow those people to get a little burnout. That keeps them just super excited, because without mentioning names, it's like we all know people in this scene who are very, very funny, who are capable of doing a lot, but for whatever reason they haven't been given those opportunities, right? Because we're not LA, we're not New York, whatever it may be. And then you kind of feel like they're still funny on stage, but they're just not as excited like what we're talking about right now.
Well, and the thing is that, like, at 36, dude, I have nothing else, you know? A lot of these other comics have had failed relationships, they've had failed marriages, they have children issues, they have job issues, they have all these other things, and those things can weigh people down.
Yeah.
And there's another aspect of it where, what got you to the dance? Writing new material. What got you to the dance? Doing the hard work.
Yeah.
And whenever I get the aspect of, like, I've heard from others, because this is something I tend to learn from others more than myself, because I'll fail at our production or whatever, and then we'll talk about how can we fix for the next show.
Yeah.
It's always about less problems, more solutions. That's just how my mind works. So it's like whenever I hear a comic not getting the time or not getting there, because I hear it a lot now, because I do hang out with a lot of these more established comics. And all I can think about to myself is, like, what got you to the dance, buddy?
Yeah. Because I know they're like, I want them to be psyched again. Because it's like, man, you deserve to be psyched.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm almost sorry. Like, I almost want to apologize and be like, man, that sucks that this scene or this town or whatever it may be for you, where they feel like they're kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're not. It's like, how many comics, the longer they've been in the game, they just get better and better and better. And it's like, look at somebody more recent, right? It's like Nate Bargatze just blew up. He's not a new comic.
No.
He's been in this for a hot minute.
At least 10 to 15 years.
At least. Probably closer to 20 at this point.
Because I was listening to a podcast with Dan Soder about the days of him they're all drinking together, and all of them are now sober.
And then think about Tom Segura.
Yeah.
You know, he's been popular for a while, but it was only over the last
Tommy Buns.
Yeah, it was only over maybe the last 5 or 6 years where his whole podcast and everything just blew up.
Yep.
And now he's truly this just mega success.
He's coming and doing American Airlines Center.
Yeah.
Dude.
But look at just a couple specials ago, before he was in shape, before he had it together. He thought he was at his peak then.
Yeah, no.
He probably thought that was it. Like, I did Netflix.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. I'll do a little... And it's like, he probably had no idea it was going to keep going to that massive success.
This is the only... Everybody loves the freshman album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they always talk about the sophomore album. That's in everything.
Yeah.
You know? Not all of our careers can be the Talking Heads. You know, like, not all of our careers can be...
But I'm hoping some of these veterans, like, I'm hoping with things like Cowabunga, Dead Good, hopefully with some of the stuff I'm doing, it's like, I'm hoping we can give them these
little breaks.
Goals of like, oh, no, you're still the shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're still top dog.
Yeah.
You just kind of been hanging back a minute.
Yeah.
And I need you to come back, like, full of just piss and vinegar and, you know.
But because, like, you know, and I, especially with, like, what I could say for Cowabunga, right? Mm-hmm. We've had so many phenomenal comics on our shows. Like, it's because how we book, and it's how we do it, and it's not wavering to a standard. Like, we have to have the best thing. We have to have a standard because that's what we would want to produce.
You know what? Your show, that's a great example of what I'm talking about. I don't think she's like lost her excitement or anything. But like Linda Stoggers, she's been a veteran in this scene, and she's well respected by everyone.
Yeah,
and
I saw her crush last night.
Super funny. Lawrence and I were talking at one of the Cowabunga shows that she was on about, like, holy shit, man. We were looking around the room, and after the bar, after the show at the bar, we were both kind of saying the same thing of like, I think we forgot what it was like to see people who have not seen Linda before.
Yeah.
And are unprepared to see Linda's act, and how, you know, weird and like
how quirky it
aggressive,
is.
You know, and it's like shocking if you've never seen it. I was like, God, it transported me back to the first time I saw her at Backdoor at Doubletree, going like, oh yeah, that's right. She is on this weird level that no other comic's on.
Yeah.
And then so it's like seeing strangers and remembering like, they just had their minds blown by this woman.
Yeah, you know? and the cool part of when I got that lineup, right? Because I get it from Vin. Yeah.
And he makes the lineup and just kind of tells you what's up.
Because I get excited.
Yeah.
Because like we'll sit around and go, but this is like we'll bill out stuff, and he'll be like, this is what we're doing next month. And they'd be like, oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
And they're like, everybody's confirmed? They're like, yeah. I was like, oh. And then I saw the Linda one, and I go, isn't it crazy that we get to see Linda Stockner at a bar show?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
I feel...
Which I don't think Fillmore is a bar show, but it is a bar show.
It's a very well-done bar show, but it's a bar show.
It's a bar show.
And Linda has
she'll put it up. She'll do it.
What I love about her is like it doesn't matter the gig; she's all game. She's ready.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I just want to see so much more of Linda, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's like the more I learn about her, the more you realize like Jesus, she's got this deep, rich history.
Yeah, in our scene
that almost nobody knows about.
Yeah,
and it's like, God, Linda, can you put some of that on stage? I need to hear about some of this.
Yeah.
I need to learn more. Like I want to learn about the last 40 years of your life through you doing stand up.
Yep.
And I hope, and that's what I mean. Like
and you could see her every Friday and Saturday night at back. You know,
I know. Backdoor's the little club.
That's the best.
It's the best, man. Anybody I've ever heard talk shit about it, it's only because they can't figure out how to do clean comedy.
No, because they're idiots.
That's it.
No, everybody can do clean comedy. I'm a clean comic, and I've cussed like 7 times already.
They're not capable of figuring it out, so they're like, no, fuck that place. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Yeah,
it's all good. But yeah.
I was literally there last night and the week before. I'm there all the time, and I'm like, Linda says hello to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting there like, I can't wait to get past here. Like, I can't wait.
What do you have to do to get past there?
Be good.
No, but I mean, do you do it on open mics?
Yeah, you got to do the open mic, and she's an old school.
Does she offer you a showcase opportunity?
Not yet, no. But
no, I'm saying like
she will eventually. That's how that step goes.
That's what I'm saying. It's open mic, showcase, and then maybe your past.
What I've heard from other comics, and this is something I try to do for myself, is that when you show up at the open mic, there's someone else who handles the money or whatever. It could be one of the other comics, and then you show up early and you see if you could set up the tables and set up the chairs and set up the room, set up the mic. And it's like, as a server, I'm like, I do all this at work already. Yeah. I don't mind. So I've been trying to do that, and that's what I heard from Dez, and I've heard that from Vinny, and I've heard that through Liam, and I've heard that with everybody, where it's like, she's old school, where you grind it out. You call a week ahead to get your spot. You gotta. It's very old school, and you just gotta do the time. I
feel like the way some clubs around here think they're doing a service by quote old school. I feel like they think they're doing it that way, but really they're just taking advantage of everyone.
Oh, yeah, there is a little bit of that.
Her way seems like,
it makes sense.
No, we're trying to see, like, do you love this?
Yeah.
You going to do this or not?
Yeah. And, like in stand-up for where I'm at, it's like you get little breaks where you go and like, oh, dude, you can do a guest spot, or hey, you could be on the showcase. Like, I just did Zach Webb and Friends last Wednesday.
I was very, very upset that I didn't get to go to the show.
It was a banger show.
Zach Webb's been on my list of somebody I want to go watch for maybe 2 or 3 years.
He's the best.
Every time I try to watch him, something else is happening in my life, and I cannot push it aside to go watch the show. Yeah. But he had a good show. Good anthem show.
Dude.
Of course he did.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, when I saw Vinny's and Friends show, right? The first couple of comics that was on that list, when I was sitting in the room, I was like, I could be funnier than that guy. I could be funnier than that guy, right? Then Zach came up, and I went, nope, can't be that guy. Yeah. And then KG went up right after him, and I go, not as funny as that guy either. And then Vinny went up, and I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So then after that show, I know Zach Webb's cousin, and he hangs out with us in the neighborhood too. And I would run into Zach too, and I would tell him, like, dude, your voice is insane. You're a really intelligent writer. You're silly and goofy too. He's super silly.
Okay.
And then when he sent the list for Jay to do his and Friends, he was like, I'm gonna put Neaz up, because the first show he saw me at was at this and Friends, and then that he gave me my break. Was
that the first time you got to perform on the
actually on a lineup? Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've done guest spots
coming
there.
Full circle. How did it feel standing up there?
I was nervous as fuck. I was. You can hear it in my set.
Oh, okay.
You can hear. I was like, I skipped a couple of words.
Now you're probably the only one. Like, you're re-listening to your set, I imagine, thinking this, right?
Oh yeah.
But
no,
did you
actually,
talk to anybody else?
No, I had a couple other comics that I really respect say the same thing.
Okay.
And I had family members in the room, and my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law was like, it's the first time she saw me. She was like, "Oh no, you're figuring it out."
How much time did you have?
I had to do 8 minutes. I left at 6:40. I left early, so
leave them one more.
Leaving, I didn't have anything else. Yeah, because it's one of those things. I habitually hate the person who runs the light. I'm not a run the light guy. If I know this is the time to go.
So if you ever become a headliner, they'll be like, "Dude, no, you only did 20 minutes.
I'd be
you
like,
need to get back up
yeah,
there."
and it'd be like, not happening. Don't book me again.
But how did it feel walking up on that stage?
It was so nervous.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. It was so much fun. It was an amazing lineup.
Is that the literally tallest stage from the ground that you've performed on?
No, ours is. No, I mean, Plano House Comedy is
okay. That's a very
tall
stage. Yeah.
They,
I was just curious if that would mess with you a little bit, being like, literally looking down on the crowd.
No, I would prefer it, but like the Plano House Comedy, that's the stages.
It's very tall.
It's very tall.
Yeah, I think it used to be like a.
It used to be a Blue Martini. And that's where bands.
I was
going to
say it was a band stage, right?
Yeah, it was a band stage.
It looks like it's
supposed to be
built
a
as
dance
stage.
floor, and then the band would be on top.
Oh, I wonder why they didn't lower that. I wonder if it's just made out of solid concrete
It's
or
probably
something.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just you notice it's a taller stage.
Yeah. And then it was fun. But yeah. It was fun. It's exciting though.
Do you feel like you got to soak in that moment of like you were saying, I'm gonna do this, and then there you are?
Dude, it was the first time seeing myself on like the bill, like
on
right. Beltline.
Yeah.
And it's like me and Emily Griefer, and Emily Griefer gave me my first break doing a guest spot on her and Friends show. And then I did Vinny's and Friends the next day, which is like kind of unheard of, where like same comic is doing a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like another little, I was only in stand-up for like 6 months when Emily gave me my break.
That's awesome.
And I've known Emily since I worked with her at Freebirds.
Oh, okay. So y'all go back.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I know she was like 19.
Yeah.
And then it was weird because when I got into stand-up, I already knew, besides Vinny, I knew Shri Raj. I knew him from middle school. And then I knew Emily from working.
Wow.
And then they would see me at mics and like, "Are you going to keep doing this?" I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah, it's strange. Like I've just now hit that point where I've seen people come and go. Where you've seen some names who are trying hard, and then a couple years go by, and you're like, "Oh, I guess they're
done,
dipped
dude.
out. Just dipped out."
Yeah, dude. More stage time for all of us. That's how I see it.
Yeah, but even now, like there's like a new class coming through. I guess it would be like you and your peers.
Oh, dude, me and my boys.
These new faces.
I love these. My class, I really, really enjoy. In my class, I kind of hold. We have a couple of us who hold each other really accountable.
That's good.
Yeah, me, Michael Moore, Steve Walsh, Deanda, Scott Bedgood, Nimesh Patel.
Yeah, Nimesh.
These are my guys. Like we all see each other at mics, and
I've been trying to watch Nimesh more. He's a funny dude.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
I still haven't sized him up.
Yeah,
like he always makes me laugh.
Yeah,
but I've never been like, oh, he kind of does this. Like I haven't pegged him down as anything.
No,
yet.
because I think all of us are still trying to find our voice.
Yeah, but he's a funny dude.
Yeah,
He
was one of the first guys that I saw that I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I message him not all the time, but I message him frequently. Like, just let me know when a show comes up. Let me know when a show comes up, because he's one of those. I didn't realize he was that new into it, but that's the exciting thing is watching people kind of get molded.
Yeah.
You guys are all molding yourselves and figuring out who you are and how you're going to do it, and it's very fun. I am super psyched that I think I watched your first show at DCC.
You saw me, yeah, I did the brownout.
Yeah.
It was the first, you got to see I was doing a boots bit then. Yeah. I don't do anymore. I need to bring this.
You had this smooth move, though, where you put your boot up on the front table
dude.
and like with a little shimmy, and I was like, all right, he's getting a little loose up there.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
Nice. Yeah,
that was Street's brownout.
How early on was that? Was that one of your first
That was my first DCC show, and that was probably like 8 months in.
8 months. Okay, that's cool. I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different. I don't know. It's like I say, it's just trying to figure it out. Always be around. Always show support.
It's funny. I was listening to Ralph on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ralph. And that's one of the things he had mentioned, which I was very happy to hear, because I'm sure we all, as locals, have opinions on like how his success and fame, how his mind is with that, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure people have said all sorts of ways of what they think he might be like now. But listening to that interview, I was super excited to hear him talk about, he was saying many things like, like, I think how he phrased it was, it's something that you never ever stop learning in.
Yeah.
And he's like, basically saying like, if you're not constantly trying to work it into something better, you're going to fail. And I was like, oh, thank God he's saying things like that instead of like, I'm the shit,
Yeah.
And
yeah, because like and this is something before his Netflix special came out when he was on tour with Bird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Ralph Barboza. I know of him as a comic, but everybody else in the scene obviously like did the ranks with him and worked with him and stuff. He was before my time.
Mm-hmm.
And something like I have other comics that like constantly bring him up and talk about his work ethic. And then I saw him on Bert's tour, Bert Kreischer's tour, on his like whatever tour he was doing through the summer.
Yeah.
And every single photo of Ralph was him in the green room where everybody else is partying. He's got his notebook out, right?
Right.
Every photo. And like, that's honorable.
Yeah.
We go, all right, he's still trying to figure out what he's going to keep doing. And it's cool for me to see it as a baby in this.
Yeah, he had another line in that podcast that I really liked where he was talking about how he told Joe, he's like, I mean, I don't even know, man. He's like, it's all one-sided. And Joe's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, you're like a veteran comic. You got all this stuff. He's like, I'm sitting here. I'm going to learn all this stuff from you, and you're not going to get shit from me.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, all right, cool. No ego. He still understands, And so that gives me hope. And because he's, like I think I made a post about it the other day, but like he's a shining example right now of like, you can do it from this area.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I get so excited about like Cowabunga.
Cowabunga's fun, man.
I don't know. It just, to me, it has that, like you were describing, that kind of DIY punk rock.
Yeah,
like,
it has to be that way.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, because
let's just do it.
My whole thing is with Cowabunga. It's the reason why we call it Cowabunga is there's this point in my life where you're like, everybody at 36, like you stop having fun. It's not fun anymore. Like people have lives and they're doing things, they're living for other people, whatever, right? And I don't. I'm a lost boy. I'm a child at heart. I still have it. But I would get drunk with Vin, or I would hang out with friends, and I'd be like, "Fucking Cowabunga, man! Let's go have fun. Let's go have shots. Let's go drink. Let's hang out.
Yeah.
Let's smoke some weed. Like let's do this. Let's be silly." And then I would do Cowabunga. And Vinny was like, one day, he's like, you say that word a lot.
I can just picture the way
he
says
goes,
it.
And I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, we should call it Cowabunga Comedy. And I go, oh, that makes sense. He goes, you're kind of the face of this thing, and like you're the kind of the spokesperson, and everybody loves you. And even in our neighborhood, Vin talks about it. He's like, I'm kind of his Kramer, You can't go anywhere in downtown Plano, and I cannot not be stopped. And like then you're like, okay, we'll just name it Cowabunga, and then that's where our whole brand, everything else all started, because it's just who we are.
Yeah.
We are trying to have fun. We're trying to have a standard of a show, and it's not about us. Our shows, it's not about us. You'll see me 3 minutes in the front. You'll see Vin 3 minutes in the middle, and then it's all about Dallas comedy.
Yeah.
And that's all we care about, because we want to give them a platform. Not that many people are going to get platforms of 15, 20 minute sets every other month.
No, but it's important. It's important to have that middle ground. Yeah. That's what Kevin and I were talking about, because that's what like Dead Good and you guys have in common is there needs to be a stepping stone. There needs to be a tier. There needs to be a place between the open mics and the showcases and the club shows that you can get in and work on it. Because how much time is an average person getting on that?
On ours?
Yeah.
We have, it tends to be 4 comics, 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, so for a lot of comics, that might be the first time they've ever gotten 15 minutes.
I have a couple of comics in our scene that have done our show, and it was the first time they did 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's got to be, I mean, well, you're sitting here trying to stretch out 7 minutes right now.
Dude, right, that's what I'm saying.
So, so it's like, it's got to be.
Like, I have 8 minutes right now.
Yeah, so it's got to be jarring to go, fuck, I got to fill 15. And it's like Shri Raj, who you're talking about. He just did his first headlining set.
Yep.
And it's like...
on Friday. 45 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. That's probably the first time he's had to stretch time out like that.
Yeah.
2 shows back to back. And like, it's such a crucial moment to like, even if you don't crush it, it's like you go, okay, I know what that feels like.
Exactly.
Now I got an idea of how that feels. I can work on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like that you guys bring is, you know, it's that extra layer that you need to be able to get from one spot to the next.
Yeah. And not that many clubs. You have to be a 5 to 6 year comic to get that 25-minute spot, right?
And I would think, I could be wrong, maybe you'll tell me, but I would think getting that 25-minute spot on a Cowabunga show would be maybe a little less threatening than at a club. Like maybe it's a good way to try your first 20 minutes than to be like, fuck, I'm at this club with this name and I gotta do something incredible here, you know.
And the reason why we do, and I probably said it earlier, is the reason why we do our shows on Wednesdays is because if you're booked on a Thursday through Saturday show or a Sunday show, right? You're a booked comic. We give you that first workout set before your weekend.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So that allows a Des O'Neill or allows a Angela Walker's doing our show next week.
She is?
Dude, Angela Walker. Okay, all right.
She's one of my favorites.
I'm doing this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Before I go, we got, go through the lineup.
Yeah.
I got Trey Mack.
This is going to come out after that, by the way.
It's fine. It's going to be a banger show. By the way, the show was amazing. It was awesome. We got Trey Mack, Angela Walker, Tyler Elliott from Tyler, Texas, and we got Scott Crisp.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know about the Cowabunga shows, by the way.
Which is banger lineups.
Those
banger lineups,
man.
Bangers. But
have you got to watch Angela Walker?
Nah, not yet.
Bro.
I saw her once at Planet House of Comedy.
It's been a minute since I've seen her, but if
she crushed.
Okay. She's one of my favorites, and I never know what she's doing.
There were like 30.
She's so bad on social media.
Dude.
I have no idea when she's performing.
Dude, I think there were like 35 people on a Tuesday triple threat.
Yeah.
At Plano House, and I told Vin, I was like, I'm gonna have to go check her out because like this is we tried to ask her for a show before and it didn't happen. Then I approached her and I was like, hey, with Cowabunga Comedy, we really want you to do our show. Vinny's reached out to you, and she's like, oh, I should hit him back up. And I was like, please come and do our show. That would be really nice. But it's one of those things like Trey Mack, he'll do our show and then he'll probably work the rest of the weekend. So it gives him an extra set to get that warm up set. So then that first Thursday show, he can crush, and then he can crush the Friday, and he can crush the Saturdays.
Well, and y'all did that for Lawrence, which I really appreciate.
Oh yeah,
Thank you very much.
Will always.
Y'all gave him a lot of sets before he filmed,
a lot,
which was wonderful.
Every single show we had for the last the 2 months prior to that show.
Yeah,
and then when I heard about it was like a day before our show, and then he showed up. He was actually on that show, and then I was like, all right, let's promote. Let's try to get everything going.
Man. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Always.
The excitement in his voice when he found out that like other people like y'all were willing to do that. For him,
yeah.
I was like, yeah. But and he's one of those guys. He kind of falls into that lane of like he's been doing it here almost 10 years now. I think, and it's easy for a guy like that to get like I do it.
He's worked with Mark Norman, Big J. Okerson.
Yeah.
He's worked with...
And it's like a guy like that needs something to get excited about.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping his special does for him. It's like, obviously I have like my own selfish motivations with I'm a fan of, but it's like more than anything, I just want him and others to go like, fuck yeah, we could fucking do something in this town. And so I could see that light in him when he was talking about like you guys put him up on shows and stuff. And it's like, he never really, I don't think he really said it this way, but it's like, to me, it was like an acknowledgement of like he started noticing like other people care that I do well at this, and it's like that's right, they do, man. So I appreciate y'all throwing him up.
100%.
I feel like it made a huge difference.
No, because like, dude, it's the hardest. Even for me, like as an 8-minute open mic comic baby, right? Yeah. To going like. We know what it has. I know what it has to take to do that time because I've seen other people do it. But you have to have a place that's outside of a club, outside of something else to be the gym. And we have the opportunity to going like, all right, we have to. But we've talked about it where I'm like, we got to keep putting him up to get him enough time to be able to crush this thing. Because even when our production goes bigger and bigger, we only want to keep giving those experiences for all the other comics.
Yeah. I think it's only a matter of time before you guys start filming some stuff there.
Oh, we will.
Because there's a very it's starting to develop a very fun energy of its own in that place.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at least the time I was there, there's a mixture of people in the room still who have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the group that knows what's happening seems to be growing bigger and bigger. And it seems to be this weird, like, almost like if you tried it at a different bar, it wouldn't work that well. There's some kind of energy in that room where it's, you know, the stage just happens to be in the middle of the room, and that's really just like an area for seating normally, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's just a little raised section for tables. And I don't know, man. It's always been a fun, like, we used to just go drinking there. It's always been a nice little bar. And but I don't know. It may just be something about like that whole downtown area that is just this.
They need it.
Classic
we need
downtown square feel, and there's a little comedy thing happening. And I don't know. I feel like that could be something. I was thinking about it before you came on about how I don't know exactly what you would do, but almost like a showcase that gets broadcast eventually.
My idea on it, and it's something that like we're kind of kicking around right now. Mm-hmm. Is I loved Comedy Central Presents.
Yeah.
I loved those. I loved 22-minute stand-up specials. Mm-hmm. I love that you would just see like 3 or 4 comics on one special, and you would see them do their 22 minutes, and that was the whole episode.
Yeah.
And I think the way we build out our shows right now, I think it would be achievable to be able to film potentially the Fillmore show. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know what it is. I don't know, because of the hard work we're doing, the lighting, the way the room is set up, the way the room looks. I think eventually we would want to be able to do something like that. It's just, you know, it's like
it builds.
anything.
It's a slow build.
It's a slow build.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how to do a couple other things. Mm-hmm. We're trying to figure out our 3rd location. We're trying to figure out
expanding.
Yeah, we have to go to a third. I would like to go to a 3rd location.
What town are you thinking about?
Garland.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Garland is the stepchild we all forget about.
Yeah, and I love Garland.
Everybody loves Garland.
I love Garland.
You look, whether they admit it or not, everybody goes to Garland.
I love Garland.
Yeah.
It's the last of the Mohicans for us down here.
Dude, and just think like how dense Garland is with people.
Yeah.
And they don't have those opportunities there, right? Whether it's people who might want to perform or people who just want to watch. Hell yeah! What area of Garland?
I don't know yet.
Not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because like
there choices.
I know, and we're just trying to figure out because like, you know, when you get successful on something and everybody wants a little piece of it, and I went through that kind of opportunities with other clubs. They want us to do our Cowabunga shows there, and we ended up talking about like how it doesn't make sense for us to do it there because like our whole thing is to bring comedy to the burbs.
Yeah, and
we need to bring comedy to places that aren't already oversaturated.
Well, and one of the benefits y'all have, have with your show is that the place is already a bar that has a built-in way to make money, so that doesn't have to be a stressor for you.
Yeah. And
in a club, you know, you're gonna have to sell tickets. You're gonna have to move these tickets,
and that's the thing for me. It's like I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, it'll right now. You shouldn't even be worrying about a club, just because you should just be thinking about what makes it fun for you to do.
Well, we have a blast.
What makes you so excited about going to that Wednesday show as the person who's putting it on still? Yeah, so I think your gut instinct of not going to a club is probably I mean, I don't see it ever going to a club.
I don't know, man, because like we were in a discussion about going to a couple other clubs, and then we had a meeting, and they were like, "Hey, you remember us telling them fuck clubs?" And we're like, "Yeah." We're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." And we just like went back to producing our own things, not necessarily fuck clubs. But
I know
it's
what
like,
you mean.
But it's like
they have a lot of shows already.
They're already doing it there. That's fine. They can ask us to do any of the showcases. Any of the people we work with could do any of the showcases.
Well, because the way I look at it, if you took Cowabunga to a club, what's the theme of the show now?
Not Cowabunga.
It's not. It's just a club show now.
Yeah.
It's a club showcase that you guys are putting on. And that's fun. That's fine. But
it's not the same.
But to me, Cowabunga is like, oh, these guys are doing these bar shows, like you said, in the burbs.
Yeah.
In these different areas.
Which we do enjoy.
And that's the excitement. And like, you guys are getting a whole crowd that does not go to those clubs already. And that's another part that
actually, Carrie Smith came and did our show. She crushed it. Mm-hmm. She had a great set. And she saw somebody at our show. And they followed her on Instagram. They ended up seeing her at Hyenas. They went and saw her that weekend.
I am still convinced that because it blew my mind. A lot of the comics when I first started this podcast were telling me that there was, some statistic, and I don't know if it's just like urban legend, folklore.
And no, it's still one.
But, that like 80% of people in the crowd have never seen a comedy show. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, what does that tell you? Because most of those people are not coming from far out of town.
No.
They're coming from within Dallas to watch a show at one of the big clubs, or they're, they live around Addison, or they live in Fort Worth for the Fort Worth Hyenas. So that means there's and think how far out we've been expanding here in Dallas, Fort Worth, of just going north and out east and everything. Those people do not want to come into town to watch a show.
Yeah.
So someone might, though, go from Richardson or McKinney or whatever to a Plano show and vice versa.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, those people, if they see someone that really resonates with them, now they might come into town. Yeah, and that's kind of a big key of growing it, I think. At this point, that's what I think, is really embracing these satellite shows.
Yeah.
These outer areas.
Yeah.
And just saying, like, fuck these radius clauses and all these things. Get these people in these other areas to bring it back in. I mean, God, that was an old touring technique with bands.
Yeah.
Is you'd go play the small towns because you knew 6 months later you were going to play the big town.
Exactly.
So it's a similar thing.
Yeah, and even for us, like when I first started doing stand up, right? The statistic is that like a viewer who had paid a ticket for, right, a paid viewer would only go see a stand up once in their entire life.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying.
Is that you think that's real?
I've heard it from a lot of people.
Huh.
So
yeah, but a lot of people might just repeat.
I'll let you know this.
Yeah.
Through Cowabunga and just us doing it in our neighborhood and at Fillmore, we've had I think 6 shows there now, 6 or 7, and we've had people be at every single one of our shows.
That's cool.
And I have people who've been at who live in that neighborhood too, who have never been to a Hyenas, never been to a Addison Improv, never been to anything else. They only know stand-up because of our shows.
Wow.
So you just go, all right, well, I'm fine with that, but it's one of those things you just go, I think we're doing something right, and I'm going to just try to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then, it's just one of those things, like, you get to get breaks, and it works out, and it's crazy because now I have a couple of opportunities coming through the works that I'm like asked to do weekends now and host a weekend, and I'm asked to do some guest spots for Christmas weekend, and I'm asking to come back to Dallas Improv, do a couple of guesties, and it's just like
so they didn't mind that you cut off the stage early, huh?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know, but I'll let you know. Some of my friends will be there, and they'll ask me to. Yeah, it's like one of those cool things, and I'm starting to work a little bit at TK's, and like he's giving me some pretty big breaks. I worked with Amir K, and
I really want TK's to do well,
dude. It's nuts. That place is huge.
It's very big, and the few times I've been there,
TK's great. He's always
done
really well by me.
I was telling somebody this the other day. I had a very poor understanding. I really misunderstood the vibe of that club the first time I went. Because the first time I went to an open mic.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just went to the worst open mic that had ever existed at that place. But literally, like, it was only comics and me. And then after the comic set, they were all leaving. And I was just sitting there as like a little science experiment.
Yeah, but
because by the end of it, it was just me and the comic on stage and one other comic. And I was like, huh. But I've heard the open mic's gotten better since then. But then I went to a show.
Yeah.
And the show was much different. And I was like, oh, okay. And the first thing I noticed, like, when I came to the show, because when I left that open mic, I was like, Jesus. I was like, this place is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's in a great part of town.
Got a speakeasy downstairs.
One of my little personal, like, maybe it's just an old man thing, but it's like they've got great parking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? but I was just thinking, like, this place is too beautiful for it to not have people here at this open mic right now.
Yeah, but it's tough because...
Well, then I got the real version, which was I came on an actual show, and it's like when I hit the door, it's like TK is the one at the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey. He's like, oh, I'm TK. You know, what are you here to do tonight? And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch a comedy show. Yeah. Yeah, and, he was super, you realized how much he cared about his business doing well.
100%.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got kind of enamored watching him run around the room.
Yeah, because he'll talk to everybody.
Facilitating things. Yeah, and he was like, he's that. It was like that old school business sense of like, what are you here to do? The comedy show? Yeah, let me walk you over there. And like he's walking you over to the comedy thing. He's taking you to the bar. He's showing you where the speakeasy is.
Yeah,
just going. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to pop up for a minute and do a set. And then I'm going to get back off and try to keep the. And I was like, fuck. And then the other comics were telling me that if a show wasn't full, that he'll start barking in the bar and he'll be like, hey, we got a comedy show starting. Come on in. And you're like, all right. I fucking like anybody who hustles like that.
No, because like he gave me a couple breaks because he's like, he sees what we're doing and I appreciate it. And there's some breaks that he gave me that I probably shouldn't have done. It was the first time I was on stage and I went blank.
Yeah.
That's something that's like a horror story of mine.
Well,
but it's like a living.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And even when I got off stage, TK goes, "You went blank," and I go, "Yeah." He goes, "It happens to all of us. You want a drink?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's drink."
Yeah, the club is so nice that I really want it to do well.
Yeah,
I really hope it does. And the only thing that scares me about a place like that is it's massive real estate in Addison, Texas.
Yeah,
so it's like, God, the overhead on that, I can't imagine. Nuts. I can't imagine. And then, but the food and everything's great. It's like,
it's always some of the best bar food in any of the clubs.
And so, it's like, again, that's another one of those things. It's like, I start getting so excited when I see like, oh, there's another new club.
Yeah.
There's another show.
There's another one about to come out in Fort Worth.
Another club? Oh, yes. Michael Pazvar sent me a thing about that. It's going to be like somewhat close to Hyenas.
It's right around there.
Yeah.
In Fort Worth. Because there's not that much out there.
Look, man, I think competition's good.
I think it is.
And I think the more stage time that these comics can get around here, the better.
It's ideal.
The better. Like, do it. We don't need any, like...
I kind of want another small club, though.
Yes.
I want another smaller club.
I think it's hard, though, because, like, I think that's the thing that's always going to hinder Backdoor is the vibe at Backdoor is great.
Yeah.
If you're not going to watch a bad show, one, because the room is incredible, two, because
the lineups are nuts.
Linda does a great job of curating her stage.
The lineups are fucking crazy.
The number one thing, and I could be wrong, because I don't look at their books, but the number one thing I think would be it's just small, fewer seats. So fewer seats is fewer money. You're not making as much money coming in. So I think that's the only reason people don't think like I'm going to open a smaller club. Because financially, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but you got.
But it does make sense.
You got to. I don't know and like, it would be a dream.
Okay, do you know Ani Ramen down in Deep Ellum? Have you been there?
Ani
Ramen.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how they have that little back area?
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife. I was like, if we ever had the means, I would love to have like a shotgun style venue like that.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, it's just like an old brick downtown building that. It's probably got like, I don't know, 30-foot ceilings or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could put a small little ticket waiting area right up front, and then you could walk in the back, and you could almost have like a mini balcony that you walk up on where it only holds maybe like another 20, 30 people there for bigger shows. And I was like, a smaller venue like that would be so much fucking fun to run.
Yeah.
And it just, really make it to where it's like, if you can't kill on this stage, something's wrong.
Exactly.
You need to work on your act, right? And almost be like a little mini proving ground of like, look, the setup's fine.
Yeah.
You need to work on something.
Yeah. Yeah, because like where we're at, I love, but it's like, dude, it would be. I don't know, man. Because like you look at Vegas, you go to New York clubs, and you look at New York clubs and stuff. And you look at like Chicago clubs, and they're like super small.
Yeah.
And it's like so intimate.
Yeah.
And it's like.
I mean, the club to me that looks the coolest is the Cellar in New York.
Oh, yeah.
When you see clips come out of there with this basement of a venue, and you're like, hell yeah.
Dude,
that looks really cool.
I've heard the Red Room in Fort Worth is nuts.
I have seen all sorts of shows in that room.
Yeah.
It's real hit or miss. But it is an interesting room.
Yeah.
I think
that's pretty cool. I like the idea of going downstairs.
I think that room could be much cooler than it is. I think they need to focus on making that room really cool.
Yeah.
Like the shows you put in there, really promote the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And like make it that cool spot. And I think a lot of times it all falls just on the performer or whoever booked the show. And so,
and like for
us, I think that's the main reason why it's hit or miss.
I think like for us, the people who tend to like the comics that I know who are open micers, like that's their first break is being in that Red Room. I haven't done it yet.
I mean, have you just been there to watch a show?
No, I
okay.
only know about it because of other comics, because they're like, that's a cool place.
Okay, well, the Fort Worth place, if you haven't been, it's like you go down the steps, and I don't know if it's like a 90s, 2000s thing or something, but there's just like the rooms are bathed in neon.
Yeah.
So like the first bar area room that you come into, it's all like blue, like almost blacklight neon. And then you walk, so you can go into the main room to the right, and that's just like a normal club feel of the room. And then if you go straight, you go through like a couple sets of double doors, and then the red room is nothing but red neons.
Yeah.
And it's got these old school booths that you'd see maybe in like a restaurant. Like they're kind of these big horseshoe booths on the back wall. And then it's just regular tables. And the stage, it's a small, probably like, I don't know, maybe it's like 8 feet wide by like 5 feet deep. It's a smaller stage. And it probably maxes out at like 70 people in there.
Which is like perfect.
It's pretty cool. The only thing that it gets a little weird is sometimes people are just walking through to get to the main room.
Oh, that's funny.
But you could easily stop that if you wanted to, and then it's like it's got its own bathrooms in there. So if you need to like hop up and go, like you're not actually going all the way out. Yeah, and so that's pretty cool. And then it's got its own bar in there, but I've never seen them open up the bar in there when I've been there. So I don't know what the
might be a capacity thing where it's like they would not going to serve.
I don't know.
It might
be
that.
I think that could be a really incredible room.
Yeah,
just a little TLC, But I don't know. All these other spots opening up, man. Competition's going to get pretty.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I've never actually done anything in Fort Worth yet. I've only been to the Stockyards drunk. So.
It's good, man. Like I haven't seen a bad show when I've been out there.
Yeah.
And then all the comics I talk to, they say they just adore the Fort Worth Hyenas vibe. When they're on stage, they're like, "That's the room."
It's really good.
Yeah.
I've only heard.
Yeah, and then I've seen a couple big people tour through who are like on their come up.
Yeah.
Like I got to watch Catherine Blanford in the Red Room.
Oh, sick.
And I thought that was really fun. That's probably the most intimate show I'll get to see of her because now she's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So I imagine she's going to be doing headlining spots.
Another room that I like, I've only done once, which is another smaller room, is the Comedy Arena.
Yeah.
Comedy Arena upstairs is a little smaller.
That one has, it's like where Fort Worth you go downstairs. Comedy Arena's fun because you go upstairs. Yeah. No, I like that spot a lot.
And they just expanded.
You know what? So maybe I'm wrong. That's a good example of a smaller room.
That's a good small room
that somebody built and was like, "No, I can do a small club."
Yeah,
and
but Jared and Vaughn are both improv guys. If I remember, so they knew how to set that up correctly.
Yeah, that's interesting because that probably. Do you think that holds 100? How many does that hold up there?
I don't know about that.
It's small, right?
I think it's like maybe 70.
Okay,
maybe
and
65.
that would be like packed.
That'd be packed to the gills.
Yeah.
I did my first open mic showcase, like winning the open mic.
Oh, and then
they do that.
You like go upstairs,
and then they're like, "Oh, hey, can you come in do the show?"
Oh, okay.
And that's pretty cool because like I said earlier, it was me, Nimesh Patel, Michael Moore, Kevin Deanda, and Nipa Patel. And like we're all in the green room together being like, "This is insane.
We're on a show.
We're all on the same show together," which was really fun. Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our show this week, and then next week we have our Elwood show, and then that's Steve Walsh, Michael Moore, Celine Rogers, and Nathan Reeves. Do you know about Nathan Reeves?
No, I don't.
He's funny.
Okay.
He's a really good writer. He's up and coming. Really funny dude. I think he was based out of Denver for a minute, but I don't know where he's at now. But yeah, he's very funny.
What do you think has been the biggest surprise since you've started comedy? Like the thing you either didn't know about performing around here, or maybe something was one way and actually it's another.
All of it.
What do you mean?
Because like I can. How do you like the thing that I was really surprised about is a lot of comics that I really respect not getting their dues, and then a lot of comics that I'm surprised about. Like obviously we're talking about the work ethic. I'm surprised about now being almost 2 years in, like hearing people's same sets for 2 years.
Yeah,
where you're like, okay, well that's fine, but I'm not hearing anything new, and I'm not seeing any new part of the craft. I did. there are some things that I learned that it's like I'm constantly writing because I need to, and then I see other comics that I really respect constantly write, and then I learned that like some people do a script.
Yeah.
Where it's like that's their set, and I didn't know about that. Where it's like they're gonna just do their set. They're not gonna waver from their set. They don't know anything else besides their set. So like I did learn that.
Have you? I hear you. I agree with you, and that was also something that was surprising to me as somebody who just started watching more comedy.
Where it's like that's their set, dude. They're not gonna waver from their set, and their set's killer too. I know a lot of comics, so it's like they will live and die on that 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And their whole career will be that, and that's fine.
Have you got to talk to anybody who does that and hear reasoning that you liked and agreed with? Or?
I think that's what got to them to the dance.
Yeah, because I wonder what it is, if it's just a fear or if it's comfortable.
It might be comfortable. It might be fear. It might be the thing that they go, all right, well, if I'm going to do Kevin Hart's Heart of the City or I'm going to do any other little competition, it's like I'm working towards those goals.
Yeah.
And I'm working towards those bigger things where it's like it's not my 2 cents. I don't know. And I'm not a competition comic either. I haven't done any of those stuff.
Well, I always tell people, it's like, look, I feel like a jerk even judging it because I don't perform, one, so I feel like there's always a little bit of a boundary that it's like, don't start judging too hard when you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
And then two, just I'm learning. I'm learning. I don't want to be a jerk if I don't actually do it. And it's like material's so hard to come up with.
Yeah, it's true.
That I can understand why somebody gets a killer set and they hang with it.
Yeah.
But I think about that a lot because I've seen some of those people, and that's where I wonder if it comes back to what we were kind of saying earlier about having more opportunities.
Yeah.
Is like, do you stick with this set because there's not really any other opportunities to take it further anyway? So kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I wonder if some of it's that, or if I'm just making up, if I'm connecting dots that don't
Another
exist.
thing that because like, when you're like a painter and you're like, oh, I need to learn how to paint a boat. And you're like, well, I need a storm behind that to sell this boat. In comedy for right now, all I really thought about was like clean and dark comedy. Those are the two distinct things that I was always thinking about. And then now it's like, oh, crowd work. Or what's your approach to a hot room? What's your approach to a cold room? What's your approach to dealing with people who are drunk? What's your approach to people being tough? These are all new things that I've learned where it's like, these are little nuanced things, little tricks that I've seen other comics do. What are saves? I didn't know what a save was. I didn't know what a parachute was of a joke, where it's like, I didn't know if I was going to go hard in the paint about this thing and no one bought in the idea. How do I save from that? These are all things you learn from doing stand-up.
Yeah, Tyler Elliott was kind of schooling me on some of that on his episode.
Yeah.
And like one of the things he said that I never thought about before, like you noticed it, but you didn't even realize what was happening, is he was like, oh yeah, dude, he's like, callbacks are like a cheat code.
Yeah.
He's like, you get a good callback. He's like, you got him.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's almost just stealing, And I was like, oh.
It's like piggybacking.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, I've heard callbacks for so long, but I never thought of it as like a,
It's a way to get him back.
Yeah. Like either I lost him and I need to get him back, or I haven't fully brought him on yet. Let's get him in here. I'm a good guy. I heard the joke also. And yeah, it's really fun listening to a guy like Tyler talk about those things.
Yeah, because it's like Tyler's been doing it forever. And his this is something I've seen parts of his set, but I haven't actually seen him do full time. So when he does our show, it's something I'm going to be adamant about watching, because his approach to Vinny's approach to my approach to Arun's approach are going to be completely different.
First of all, him being on that show with Angela Walker and Scott Chris, you're going to see 3 super different personalities.
Oh, 4, yeah.
Yeah. So who was the 4th person?
You got Trey Mack.
Trey Mack, yeah. And that's going to be I wish this episode was coming out before that show happened.
It's just nuts.
Because those 4 are totally different, which is, to me, what makes comedy shows very fun.
Yeah.
Whenever it's just that, somebody like Tyler, if he is following Angela, is super interesting to watch.
Yeah. Or you have like
totally
you have Angela and Scott Crisp.
Yep.
And then I won't know that till day of when I get the list with everybody else, because like I'm excited about that still.
Yeah.
I don't really have a 2 cents to our list at all. I don't really, and I don't want it. because I like being excited.
Yeah.
I still get excited. I know I'm going to have to eat shit on that show. I know it. I know I'm going to have to host it. I know I'm going to eat shit. I know I'm going to have a good time. I know I'm going to work with these killer fucking comics.
You're in a fun zone, though, because you're in the very beginning where you have to really try really,
I have to
really
try
hard,
really fucking hard.
really hard, because you're also on the show with very established comics.
Very established comics.
So it could be so easy to be
the
like,
host.
Do you get worried that people would be like, oh, you know, he gets on all these shows because he puts on this show, rather than just because I think they might forget about the fear of you going like, yeah, I'm on this show. And
I'm on
terrifying.
this fucking show, dude. I was on the show with like Parker Slavens, Linda, Lawrence, you know,
Des
O'Neill's on that. It's like, I'm going to eat it, dude. I eat it all the time. And I'm the host.
How's it feel when you get on a show like that and
crush?
No, objectively just saying like, going into it that you're not you're the most inexperienced,
100%.
You're the most unqualified.
100%. Every time.
But how does that sit with you?
It sucks even more. The room is mine. The people in the room know me. They've known me since middle school, high school. I have people hit me up, be like, dude, these shows are amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thanks for coming out. And then I come out and doing cancer at one of the shows, and this girl I haven't seen since when we were Christian kids, she came to that show, and she's like, good set. And I was like, we all know it wasn't good.
She's like, I remember those days of the Make-A-Wish.
Dude, it was bad. It sucks. No, it's one of those things that I do believe by trial by fire. I do like sink or swim. I am that guy. The birthday show, we did the Halloween show, right? It's probably one of the best shows we've ever had. I'm so happy. I kind of curated that show because it was my birthday show, and I wanted to have all these comics on it where it's like dear friends of mine, and then we had people come in and do guest spots too, which was even crazier. But the lineup was Andrew Deacon.
Great. Love
Deacon. He's a dear friend of mine. You know, I pretty much know his set from beginning to end. Seth Coles. Paul Varghese, Vinny. There was one other. We had Arun and Cheyenne jump on.
Okay.
And
who's the one you're forgetting?
There's someone else.
They're listening right now. Going,
Ben Frank. Ben Frank from New York was on it.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is.
Ben Frank was this guy from New York. He was here doing the play. That's the guy I forgot about.
Oh, okay.
Ben Frank came on and did the show with us.
Oh, so you got out-of-towners doing drop-ins
now. He did a drop-in.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll be he would have been our third drop-in. We had a couple of guys from Austin come out and do our show.
I love to hear that, man, because I think more of our... I want Backdoor to be a drop-in place.
That would be ideal.
I want, like, when I heard Nate Bargatze came in and
I was there.
Plano House of Comedy, which, by the way, that had to be super cool.
I was there.
Was he running his Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Paul Smith was hosting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Paul Smith was hosting. I went and did Gretchen's mic on Tuesday at the Statler.
Yeah.
The basement mic.
Was it Bourbon and Barrels?
Bourbon and Barrels.
I don't think that's it.
I forgot. But I did Gretchen's mic, and I didn't get picked on
Bourbon and Banter.
Bourbon and Banter.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I did I signed up for Plano House of Comedy, didn't get the list. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm leaving. Paul, you're doing the show.
It was an open mic that you dropped?
It was an open mic. It was an open mic. So then I went to that Gretchen's mic, signed up. I see Cheyenne, and then I get a text from Paul Smith being like, Nate Bargatze is going to be here in 15 minutes. And I was like, fuck. Yeah. And I looked at Cheyenne and I just showed him the text. And I was like, what are you? He goes, there's no way he's here. He's fucking with you. And I was like, nah, dude. Then he looks on his phone. Cheyenne looks on his phone and goes, he's here in Fort Worth tomorrow night. And I'm like, I'm fucking leaving, dude.
Yeah.
So I bolted, drove all the way down to fucking Tollway, got to Plano House Comedy. And as soon as I walked up, he just got on.
Hell yeah.
And then it was funny because I love my comics that I started with. You know, it's insane where it's like Paul Smith, he's taught me a lot about a personality on stage. He's taught me a lot about a lot of things on stand-up. And then Nate does his set. Nate Bargatze, I don't know if you know. I did 22. There was 22 people in the room. 13 of them were comics.
Yeah.
Just waiting to get their time. And then Nate does his time. And then he's like, all right, That's all I've got. And then Paul Smith gets on stage and goes, all right, give it up for Namesh Patel. And Namesh Smith's like, how the fuck am I going to do this? And Carrie Smith was the headliner of that night. And she's like, we're all tired now.
Like, well, great.
You guys just can go home.
Yeah, but that's, I decided to start running marathons. And so I was doing a training run.
Sick.
And, Pazvar texted me, Michael Pazvar.
I saw him at the bar.
Yeah, and he was like, "You got to get out here now," because him and I were just talking about Nate Bargatze, about how he flew under my radar for so long.
Oh, he's amazing.
And then when we watched his most recent special, I was like, "Oh my god, I think he might be one of my favorites now."
He's slow talker, storyteller.
Oh, and just
clean.
I think because I came from a small white trash town, I resonate with so much of his material.
Yeah.
Like when he's talking about his sister making poor financial decisions and buying jet skis and shit. I'm like, I know these people. But anyway, I was like sweaty. It was dark. I was just running around this track. I was like, if I had a change of clothes, and I was just thinking like, fuck, there's no way I can get home, get a shirt and go. And I was like, I can't show up wearing like running clothes.
Yeah. Because it was me. Pazvar, Michael Pazvar was sitting at the end of the bar. And then Thomas Craig on the other side of him. Mm-hmm. And we're all talking about, like, what the fuck?
But, there's no reason people shouldn't be making these drop-ins when they come to DFW. I think they just don't realize, like, your bigger names, I think they truly don't understand outside of the big clubs that there are these smaller spots that they can just pop in. Because, I mean, Jesus, it's like, if he would have known that he could have gone from there to 2 other clubs and run that set that same night, that he could have done it at Backdoor, he could have done it at DCC or wherever he wanted to.
Yeah. On a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like they would, I mean, imagine any headliner you want rolling through town, and they just call up Backdoor and like, do you mind if we come in and run 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And nobody knows. Nobody's going to make a ton of money off of it. It just becomes known that like go to these clubs because you never know who you're going to see.
Yeah, and like we have people who work in our scene, right? Mm-hmm. And friends of ours who've done our shows and stuff, and they know of a standard of a show we have.
Yeah.
There has been a scenario where a headliner from out of state asked a friend of ours, "Hey, can I just do a workout set somewhere?" Mm-hmm. And like our production was brought up. It didn't work out to happen, but that's an ideal scenario to be in.
There was somebody who was coming to town. I'm not going to say their name, and I was like, man, I wonder if it would be like out of line for me to be like, hey, would y'all put this person on a show while they're in town? But I really wanted to do that.
Yeah, but the thing is that like for us, if it's somebody like we really know, and if it's it happens to be that way, and we have someone drop or we have a scenario happen, we don't mind.
Okay. So if I text you that in the future, it's not going to be weird?
No, I mean, I would text Vin.
Okay.
I would hit up Vin and be like, hey, if this is happening.
Yeah.
If this is possible. Because we've had other people, like other comics that were started somewhere else, and then now they're here. Yeah. And they're like, a friend of mine's coming through. Like, is there any way they could jump on so they could just get a workout set? Or some other scenario. Yeah. Yeah, because like if the thing is for us, it's like it's all about comedy.
Yeah, because some of the out of towners that I meet through this show, that's kind of what I think. I was like, I wonder if I could facilitate them getting to these other places that I love to perform, or to see people perform, just so that they know, like, oh, there's more going on here than I realized,
Yeah, and it's even more and more that we expand that will allow more of those kinds of opportunities. It's just it doesn't start in one. It's kind of a problem, but it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem.
It's a good problem.
I talk to my wife about that a lot. I'm like, I'm busy and I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're doing a lot, and I was like, I know, and I hate it, but I really like it.
But
I really like it.
What else am I gonna do?
Well, and just I don't know, man. I'd rather be tired and be putting things together than to just be super well rested and not doing shit with my time.
Yeah. Well, and like. It's cool to know that when I got that lineup that we're gonna doing like next week, right? When I got that lineup, it was in a text message from in our group, and it's like, hey, these are the next couple lineups, right? And you're like, oh shit, that's the thing for me. It's like I get excited, because I go, oh, these people who don't understand stand up at all. in this bar will understand that they're going to get destroyed by some of the best comedians in the DFW. And then we have our December show, which is great. We're about to finalize that. And then that show's going to be nuts. That show's going to be nuts. And then we have we only have 3 more till the end of the year.
Wow.
And then we are starting to bill out the beginning of next year already.
Dude, and before you know it, this whole thing's going to be a year old.
I know. Oh, it already is.
Is it 1 year old officially?
From when I started doing shows, it was September 20th. This was my first show I started producing. So like Cowabunga, we had our McNeil's nights, and then we had McNeil's comedy, and then we did Cowabunga, and Cowabunga's been going for almost like 8 months, 7 to 8 months.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
And then what? Eventually, you guys are going to open up a club in Plano, right?
Dude, I wish. Dude, if I did, I would be. That would be
downtown Plano. Would be a great
that would be
spot.
amazing.
Look, one of those businesses is going to fold.
I will only hope.
Right at the time. Right at the time.
No, please, everybody succeed. I don't want that guy. No.
Right at the time when you guys get access to a line of credit or
Dude.
something, and it's just gonna
because like
work.
we love stand up. That's what we care about. We want to give people time. We want to give them the effort. We want to give them the standard. That's our mission, and it's Texas comedy. We want to bring that up.
Yeah.
It's not Austin comics. It's not San Antonio comics. It's Texas comics. It's not just Dallas.
Yeah.
And
I was reading about this area between, so if you think of Dallas-Fort Worth on a map as like the top of a triangle, and then you're coming down to Houston on one end, and then San Antonio and Austin on the other end of that triangle.
And now Waco.
Yeah, and they were just saying everything within that triangle is about to boom with people, just because those are all areas where you're within commuting distance of a major city.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it just, when you see how densely packed that area is about to be, and how easily all these comics can work within those zones.
Yeah.
And then just all the little areas surrounding that little, triangle they're talking about. It really is possible for this to be like the biggest scene in the country here soon. Not just Dallas, not just Fort Worth.
No, it's Texas comedy.
Texas comedy.
But that's how
you could make a whole career off those cities.
They said it was in like the 80s, like Texas, 80s and the early 2000s. Like Houston comedy was huge. San Antonio's comedy was huge. And Houston 80s and then in the early 2000s.
The few Houston comics I've talked to, it blows my mind how few comedy clubs are in Houston.
Well, I was told, I asked a comic recently. I was like, "Hey man, like I haven't been on the road yet." And I'm like, where do I really want to go? Because I really want to go check it out. I hit up a friend of mine he's commuting between here and Austin. And I'm like, "Hey, can I get on a show in Austin?" He goes, "Yeah, it's a lateral move." And I go, "Well, what do you think?" He goes, "You go to Houston. Go to Houston. There's the secret group out there.
Yeah.
You should go check that out. You go check out a couple other places out there." And then I had a couple other comics who are like, "If you're going to go out there, we'll all ride together. And like, we'll try to do a show." And like with us in Cowabunga, ideally, like we would love to take our production all around Texas and going and doing what we do at Fillmore at other locations. Just to going like, hey, well, let's see if this works in other scenarios, and see if we can take this little brand of ours, kind of on the road.
If you did that, would you try to trust someone in that town to do it, or would you want to be just making trips and doing it?
Nah, I would probably end up making trips.
Yeah, it feels like you need to be a part of it.
I would have to, because I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah,
I can't rely on. I don't know if I have a couple of people that I would really rely on, and I know their judgment of character, like their judgment of if this would work there. But there's only a couple of people like that now.
If you could snap your fingers right now and expand to one other town, where do you think you'd want to do it besides Garland?
Montreal, Canada.
What? Montreal.
No.
I was like, what the fuck?
Montreal.
No, in Texas. What's a spot do you think that is like a burby area that would support what you're doing?
I think if our standard was a little bit higher and we're able to do a little bit more, would probably be Frisco.
Oh, okay.
Because like if we do this, because the dream would be able to create a circuit.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, I could tell you were gearing up for something like that, where you could basically send somebody on tour through Cowabunga shows.
Yeah. Because like we want to be able to go like if Lawrence's scenario happened, we had 4 different locations, 5 different locations, and we build it off on off nights always. you go, all right, now you're going to start the circuit. I'm like, all right, what do you mean? He's like, all right, first week Wednesday, you're going to start here. Next Wednesday, you've got this other location. Third Wednesday, you're here. You ended at Fillmore last location.
Yeah.
And then that would be the circuit where it's like now someone's on the ringer to going like, all right, now you just did well over an hour in this past month just on curated shows, and then go, all right, that's enough time to going, we got you now ready for whatever you want to do. And we have so many comics in our scene that I think we need something like that. We need an independent circuit here. We need a correct independent circuit.
But again, you're talking about something, I think a lot of them haven't thought about that, because that's another music move. You know, that's what bands used to have is a tour circuit like that. You know, it's like you would just go do all the House of Blues. Yeah. Right? And it's like, yep, that's your tour.
Yep.
And
you have like 4 or 5 locations.
Yeah.
And you do it once a month, and it's the grind. Where it's like, all right, you know, because like on a Wednesday night, and I'm not saying anything negative against it, is that for me, I've been in a situation where I'd rather be on a show doing something in front of people to actually test my material or go do an open mic. And there's 99% of the time, the show is where we need to do our work. The homework that we have to be doing is doing the open mics. Yeah. And there are times where you're like, it's just one of those. For me, I just know that that's what I would want, and I know that the scene needs it, and that's how this starts. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on labels? Because you know that's one of the things I think about with I'm a Fan of is, you know, does this thing long term potentially have legs to be like a label for comics, and is that something comics would even want? You know,
well, I don't,
because I think about I don't know what it would offer, but I think about it as like, what could it provide without being predatory?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So as I wouldn't consider it a label. I would consider it a full-on production.
Okay.
Where unless if you're going to move to the club and you're going to produce a club, right? And you're going to go do that for the scene and then put the cameras up and do the thing and then start filming everywhere, you know, that's one part of it. And the other side of it is going like, I've got 90 days. I've got to put one of our comics through a boot camp. This is the standard of that boot camp where it's like you have connections with all these other people and going like, you're doing this. You're kind of being their road manager and their task manager to going, you have to do this set. You have to do this other set. You have to do this other set. These are the open mics you have to go to. This is the grind you have to go through. And you become essentially a business manager, producer. Yeah. Because for us, I have that drive and I don't need, I know that I'm like, I wake up every day and I'm like, fuck, I need to go do another set and I need to do time and I need to do this stuff because I know that I have a show coming up and I know that I have to be the host and I have to be the production manager or whatever it is. And that's that kind of pressure that is needed. Yeah. So like it's either that or like you do the Segura route where it's like you become the hub for podcasts.
Yeah, I don't think it would be something like that. I wouldn't mind producing people's podcasts if they want to do it.
But that would be...
I view it more as... I don't even know yet. It's still morphing and changing. But I know what I would like to do long term, but I just think of, you know, like the voids that are here that people could need help with, what those are. But it's just always... It's like, even with Lawrence, it's like, you know, at some point you end up having to talk about revenue and contracts and those things, and it's all needed and necessary. But you just realize it's like, God, you just don't want people... Like, what can you offer where people don't feel like they're getting screwed? That's really what I feel like is missing.
This is something that I feel kind of wholeheartedly on. That's why it's like whenever we start filming, the percentage of what we would end up taking, it's been a thought, and it's only 10%. Yeah. 10% is the cost of the camera. It's the cost of putting it online. It's the cost of the effort. 90% of whatever it else is would produce by filming that artist goes to them. Yeah. Because that's what it is. They're the executive producer. They're the one who wrote the comic, the material. They're pretty much the director too.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right.
That's 100% how I feel about it is, because I think of, again, back to music, it's like, I think of the guys like Steve Albini and stuff.
I just saw an interview with him.
Oh, it's and it's like the million.
Conan did an interview with him.
Who?
Conan O'Brien.
Conan. Oh, yeah. When it's like the millions and millions of dollars he could have made.
We're engineers.
And he's like, I charge this for a record. Yeah. And that's what it is. And it's like, and that record just happened to be Nirvana.
So my buddy, Rob Mosley, he does the sound for us. I've known him for years. He's one of my dearest friends. I just had Thanksgiving with him. I love the guy. He hates me sometimes because he's like, when are we doing another show? How am I going to do this? I constantly use him. But Albini made an album with his brother called Chris Mosley, and his guys called Early Lines, and they were a den band. And when I was working with Rob at Whole Foods, he was like, Albini? I was like, nah, dude. Nah, I don't know who Steve Albini is. So we watched a documentary with Albini, and they kind of made sense. It resonated with me. Albini shows up and he wears a mechanic's overalls. Mm-hmm. He wears a onesie. He steps into that, and he's like, "Now I'm a mechanic. Mm-hmm. I just have to do the job." And that's how I kind of feel about producing, where it's like we're here to just do our job because we have to glorify the person to do the thing they had to do. Yeah, and that's kind of where it has to be. And then you start producing all these other great things, and if it does happen, you go, "Well, it's because I love that thing so much, and I get to do it, and that's why this works." Yeah. And that's how Cowabunga is. That's because it's like, dude, no one needs to know me. No one needs to know who I am. Like, I don't really care for that. Yeah. My personality isn't big
Then why
enough.
are we doing the podcast?
Shut up!
Why are we on the podcast right now?
No, but it's about...
You told me before we started, you're like, I need this to get out there, man.
I need
eyes on me. I need...
Please! More of it. No, it's because we both are in the same boat. Yeah. That we love our scene so much, and all we were trying to do, all Cowabunga's trying to do, it's all I care about, is we see the potential in so many individuals in our scene that dude, when I watched Ralph's special, right? And this is something I talk about a lot, is that anyone who brings it up and they're like, he doesn't know how to do his voice, he doesn't know how to do this, whatever. And I go, okay, cool. That's funny. That's great. Go watch any other special and count how many jokes you heard in anyone else's special, and go watch Ralph's special. And that's the definition of a Dallas comic. We have jokes here. Yeah. We do jokes here. Mm-hmm. That's how this works. We're not personalities. Yeah. Personalities don't get us to the table. Jokes get us to the table. Ralph's special is lined with jokes. Interesting. Actual jokes. Actually punchline setups, like setup punchline jokes. Mm-hmm. And it's brilliant because as an open micer, you need to see that. Because an open micer goes see Segura's special, and it's like this elaborate story, has all these punches in it. Mm-hmm. And you go, well, that's how I started as a stand-up, whereas like I saw Mike Birbiglia, or I saw, all these other comics I really love. Mm-hmm. And you're like, those are all story-based. You can't start off story-based. You can. The journey's going to be a lot harder. Yeah. And you can kind of hack it a little bit. But where's the jokes? And then in Dallas comedy, all we have are standout jokes. If I tell you a Des O'Neill, I know his, and I know Scott too. Yeah. And I know Zach Webb.
If you say Scott, I'm going to say Forrest Gump.
Yeah, you got Forrest Gump, or you got, I'm not doing, I'm a Texan. I'm a countryman, we know, these are the bits. I talk about Van, or I talk about any of these other, I know the jokes. It's not the stories.
So do you think that's because we
curate jokes here?
Yeah, but why do you think we do that here versus people doing more storytelling other places?
I don't know. No, it's because what we have here is that we don't have an attention span. So no one wants to hear the long story, because the long story has to be brilliant. And that's why you have to have the punches.
That's interesting.
That's why when you go do backdoor, it's 3 minutes, the open mic. I can't do a story in 3 minutes. No one I know can do a story in 3 minutes.
I have heard multiple headliners, not together, but separately, say that DFW is an area of fast laugh. So they'll talk about, they'll be on stage, they'll hit a joke, and then people are like, ha 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 ha, next joke.
Yeah, but that's fine.
And very, very quick. And I've heard multiple people talk about boy, you guys really clam up that. It's like you laugh and then you're like, okay, go ahead.
Where's the next
man.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we need. That's how I like it.
You prefer the joke?
Dude, I mean, I like a story.
Yeah.
I like in Lawrence's special, right? He has I'm not saying anything out of school, but he talks about a couple of topics.
Yeah.
But he has 8 to 9 jokes in every single topic that he talks about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And it's a different kind of a level for me as an open micer. It's like I want the joke, dude.
I go back and forth.
I have to go after the joke.
I go back and forth because it really depends on who's delivering it.
Yeah, because like Segura, right?
Yeah.
Segura, dude, I've seen him live twice, and I've watched pretty much every special he's ever done, and I'm hooked.
We got to see him at the Majestic Theater before he was very big, don't get me wrong. He was a famous, well-known comic.
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing like these fucking stadiums and stuff now or whatever. And him and Bert hadn't gotten huge together like they have now.
Because I saw him at Texas Theater.
Okay, so probably similar experience.
No, Irving, whatever it was.
Okay, because like we were probably like 20 rows back, and it's a big theater, but like there's no TV screen. You can still see his expression from the floor, and God, it's like he was funny from his specials, but in person like that was just fucking killer.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
It's such a different thing. And but he's a mixture of that. Like he can get into stories, but he can be really fast joke.
Yeah.
You know? But it really does like I love the guys like and this is like a huge example, obviously, but like Burr is a story guy too.
Yeah.
But then I do love like oh my God, why am I blanking? I just said 11, blanking on his name. Super dark comic, clean cut. Oh my God, what the fuck is his name? He's super famous.
Oh no, you're talking about Jeselnik.
Jeselnik, thank you.
Yeah.
He is a joke comic.
Oh, he's a joke.
Right? And so I love that because he'll go through 50 jokes.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah. And so I think it comes down to the delivery, but I've started to realize what I love more is I like when I can learn a lot about that person through the story joke stuff. And so I've learned now that I'm okay with the jokes, but I do start to feel a disconnect if I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Like if I'm not, like when you get off stage, if I feel like I don't know anything about you still.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
actually,
I mean?
I do. I was told that recently by another comic.
Oh, that you're doing that?
Yeah, because I have there's nothing going out there, but I have like a hot dog bit, which doesn't even make sense.
Oh.
And I have like a bunk bed idea.
I mean,
it's silly. It's
harder to connect though if you're doing 6 minutes. I mean, that's harder to.
You can. I've seen individuals go in there. I've seen Arun just crush in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Because like he knows how to do his voice, he knows how to do his thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that
he's been faking the Indian accent
for
like
a
5 years
long
now, right?
time.
Yeah.
Actually, I was pitching this idea, and I think it's just so dumb. Is Mighty Win?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the movie.
The movie.
Yeah.
Like Spinal Tap and all that.
Mm-hmm.
These are like mockumentaries about like ridiculous stuff.
Oh.
I really want to try to work on making a mockumentary about a stand-up comedy competition.
Okay. Nobody's done that yet?
No.
Interesting.
No, because I just think it's so dumb. It's so silly enough.
Yeah.
And it could be done so well. And then one of my favorite things.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different levels of how. Some people think those are going to like make your career,
yes.
so they get very petty about it.
Yeah.
And then,
Or my favorite aspect of it is like we were joking about it is like the guy who's like, I'm just trying to make a living for my kids and I'm just trying to do my own thing. And my wife left me and all this stuff. And he's like, it's all about the art, right?
Mm.
And then the next cutscene, he's like, this cunt over here, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what does this translate? And like, there's so many of that exists.
Yeah. The super deep guy is like,
super deep
guy. I think I'm probably going to be like the voice of a generation. And they get up there and they're just like, so this spot on my dick.
Yeah.
It's like,
all right. Okay. Yeah, no, I just think it'd be so funny to like make that and like produce that.
But you got all the crew here you need to do it.
We
in
have
terms of, you have all the people who would be willing to be a part of it.
We have so many. Jeez. But yeah, I just think it'd be so funny to do because there is so many scenarios. There's so many different versions because like this is another thing I was surprised by. No one tells you that like when you do stand up at Backdoor, you do stand up at every club's different. Mm-hmm. The audience is different in every club too. So understanding that something that you have to write is completely universal and is true to you should be the focus.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go dark, be dark. If you want to be clean, be clean. It doesn't matter. But these are the two things. Mm-hmm. So when I did DCC for the first time, and it's like an educated room, and they're kind of a little liberal, right? And you're like a little woke, right? And that's
when you brought out all your racist
all the
material.
Cancer and racist
all the stuff you used to tell at the bar,
you know. And then you go, all right, well, that's fine, right? And then you go to improv.
Sorry, that's going to be your first special. Is like, and another thing about black people. That's the name of your first.
No, but it's like that's one thing, right? And then you go to the A Club for us is like, to me, is Addison Improv. And then that has to be completely universal, and that's an amalgamation of everything. Yeah. And then you go do a TK's, and that's a different room, different size. Mm-hmm. Comedy Arena is a different clientele.
You can feel it, even as an audience member. I know you guys feel it more on the stage, but even as an audience member,
if I was good, I'd probably feel it. I just don't.
No, I mean, you feel the differences of how audiences react.
Yeah, because you have to watch the room too.
Yeah, and as an audience member now, and maybe it's just kind of going to more shows, and I'm just kind of watching it a little bit now, but you do feel it, and it's like I've had the pleasure of watching, one comic in 4 different rooms.
Yeah.
And you see their material land so differently.
Oh yeah.
Well, even Ryan Perio, he was kind enough to let me record him for his album, and.
What was this? What was this special called?
Crockpots.
Crockpots.
And we recorded 4 shows over 2 nights, and watching just the different reactions of 4 different crowds. Even same venue, same jokes, and it's just like, wow, like watching him having to sell certain jokes totally differently. Yeah, because this crowd, he can tell already, 15 minutes in, like, I'm probably gonna have to do a little more this way.
Yep.
It's pretty fascinating. I've said on here a few times, like, I really wish somebody at like an Ivy League school would open up a field of study to like audiences. Like, I don't,
dude, they're so different.
1301 vibes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But just why are these audiences and rooms that different? The closest thing I've seen is, I think it was David Byrne, Talking Heads.
Yeah.
He's got a TED Talk. Talks about the rooms of music. Have you seen that one? Yeah, and I mean, it's fascinating to think like, oh wow, you did write all your music for this bar room that you always play.
Yeah, especially their first album.
Yeah,
their first album, Talking Heads 77, like that's him and CBGB's.
There you go. Yeah, and he was just talking about all the anthem-esque 80s rock that was played in stadiums, and and it's just super interesting. But because there's something with comedy that people haven't studied yet about that. Yeah, where like you can sit in a room and feel kind of how it's gonna go. Yeah, it's very
because like we've done
unique.
Like I don't know, just out of my experiences that we've done shows and stuff, and through Cowabunga and me doing bar shows and doing club stuff now. A sold out room at one club and another club it's jarring.
Yeah,
just to even be that guy, just do a guest spot on like a sold out show.
Yeah,
it's nuts. But Zach Webb came and did Cowabunga at Elwood, and it's a bar show. Mm-hmm. My man had to work. He did 20 minutes. He had to work for it, dude. He was doing everything he can just to be on that stage and everything, right?
Yeah.
He was working. It was hard. It was a hard show, too. Then I see him literally 3 weeks later at his Zach Webb and Friends at Improv at a club, 110 people there. Crush his room. And you go, all right, well, I have to go do bar shows.
Yeah.
Because I have to stick to my act and I have to keep doing that and not sway from that. Because these are the workout sets that allows me to go do bigger things, and I'm going to be able to succeed at those things. Mm-hmm. And that's where you go, all right, every room matters and it cares, but I will let you know bar shows aren't fun.
Well, dude, let's close it out there. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Thank you.
I've been real excited to chat with you this week.
Thank you so much.
Just because I feel like you said it earlier, but it's like I feel like you share my enthusiasm.
It's the thing. It's because we love this scene.
Yeah, man. And sometimes you talk to people and they feel so beat down about it, and it's nice to talk to somebody else who's like, no, we got everything in the world going for us here.
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
Exactly.
How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
It's right there. But I think you might have said it earlier, but just tell everybody how you like them to follow you.
Okay.
So that you can, get them
check
out.
me out. Instagram, Neaz Shahbazi, Neaz Shahbazi. You can check us out on Cowabunga.com or Cowabunga Instagram as well. We're about to get the website up and running. Check us out last Wednesday of every month, Fillmore Pub. Second Wednesday of every month, it's Elwood in McKinney off of at Hub 121 off of Alma and 121 out there next to the Chop Shop. And then just come to the shows.
Shows are great.
The shows are great.
Yeah.
If you want to see an independent show that's done well, come and check us out.
There it is.
Dallas comedy, baby. Cowabunga.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.